Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons, a world of the mind. I'm Degrassi Highlander, and this is my masterclass. In these series of videos, I'll teach you to be the second greatest dungeon master in the world. After me, that is. In this episode, episode 3, we'll be covering my seminal tome, Passionate Encounter, a guide to fantasy roleplay lovemaking. Now, the key to fantasy roleplay lovemaking is to all keep it above board and not use too many adjectives, which can be gross. Now, please welcome Dave Harmon and Ben Jenkins.
I think you probably could have gone, for another 2 hours or so.
I was really curious to see myself. Beyond the veil of surprise, it is in fact Eden Lacey.
It was all a hoax.
We're trying something a little bit different today. For those of you who've never seen us before, we are the Dragon Friends, a bunch of Australian comedians who play D&D. I am Dave Harmon. I normally dungeon master the Dragon Friends.
Yep.
I'm Eden Lacey. I'm normally a player and a little bit of an NPC player as well.
And I am Ben Jenkins. I am the NPCs in our show, and I help Dave come up with the stories that we tell every season.
We're basically Dave's assistant.
I'm also just noticing, because we have a bit of a monitor that I can...
We haven't done the lights.
I can see how we look. I look like I'm from Twilight. I look genuinely ghoulish.
You have to, if you flick that bad boy
Okay, hang on a second.
Now, back to the masterclass. The secret to, here we go, and it's mood lighting.
There we go.
There we are.
I don't look much better, but at least I don't look dead.
You two shoosh more Degrassi things, Jordan.
We started that by essentially acting like we're sort of, the people who are all in control of this. But there were 3 of us here, and none of us noticed that the working lights were on.
Yeah.
And half the system wasn't on.
Yeah, that's true.
So Simon and Alex are key part members of the team.
But we have sound today, which is nice.
Yeah, we do have sound.
Sound is very good.
So we're going to open with a bit of an informal Q&A, and we'll probably end that way too.
Yeah.
Somebody just asked where I got my shirt from. I don't know if that's a reference to the fact that
Tell the story, yeah.
No, you tell it. It's
So, last night, as you probably know, we had our live show.
2 nights ago.
Two nights ago. Really?
Mm.
Oh, wow. Where we record the show at Giant Dwarf Theatre, and Ben was offering prize. Ben sometimes, after he's, like a few jubes in, starts offering prizes that he hasn't checked, and I wasn't sure if we had anything.
Yeah.
So I quickly... he was like, and you know what? We're going to give you a prize. Come and see Dave. He'll give you a prize. And I said, yeah, and if I don't have a prize, Ben will give you his shirt.
Yeah.
And somebody called you on that.
They did. And I called them back on it, and I was like, look, I'll only give you my shirt if you can give me your shirt.
And he wasn't ready to back down.
And he really...
Oh, no, Ben, Skittles.
God,
watch out.
Also, that night, I almost choked to death on some Skittles. So.
You did. So this must be deeply triggering for you.
So I don't know if that's a legitimate question, but this is one of my favourite shirts. I got it from the Australian brand Deus, and it was a gift from my wife.
It's Makina.
Oh, that's very nice.
It's a famed dad brand.
It is a real dad-based brand,
Strong
isn't it?
dad brand. They do custom motorcycles and dad shirts.
Yeah, that's exactly
Who's
right.
that guy? Liev Schreiber. I've seen him in Deus.
Uh-huh.
He's a very muscly man.
Yeah.
And a famo muscly dad.
Liev Schreiber?
Yeah, I saw him wearing Deus.
Really?
Well, he was married to Naomi Watts, right?
Oh.
I'm now looking at this and realizing that
Roy Donovan?
Ray Donovan, exactly.
Oh.
In the same brand of T-shirt as you're wearing.
All right.
Very aware that once again, all of the snacks that I've picked out for today are incredibly chewy, loud, chewy ones. So apologize for that. Unless that's your sexual thing.
In which case... Go
Congratulations.
off, King. So the way that this is going to work is we're going to answer some of your questions about just how Dragon Friends works and how we come up, how we kind of structure Dragon Friends adventures. And we're going to take you through some of the stuff that we usually do, but then also, actually quite pressingly, we do need to plan our PAX adventure.
Yeah, which is very exciting. So how would we normally do it? Often at like a bar in Redfern, I'll meet up with Ben or Eden, and we'll do like a session. Would you say?
Yeah. So typically, I mean, it's funny. There's 2 kinds of sessions, and for one shots. There's 3 really. There's for one shots for whole seasons, and then there's for episodes. So
yeah,
I think the ones that I enjoy the most are for seasons.
Yeah.
Because that's where we get to actually sit down and go what do we want for the next half year or so.
Yeah, how are we going to shake things up?
Yeah, and what
And
about
it's fun because we're starting to have those conversations. We had our first one at the last.
we had our first one for season 6, because we started to go oh, that's right, I have to do a shock check, and I will. But yeah, I think that's to me one of the funnest ones, because it's sometimes building an entire world, sometimes building really, really, really rough beats. I think usually when we do a season, we have a big bad and we have a setting from the outset. And
But often not much more than that. I think this season is a good example that we knew we wanted it to take place in Daggerford. We came up with the character of LaCroix, and we knew there was a herald, but we hadn't even decided yet who the herald was going to be.
I thought we hadn't decided on who the herald was, but I thought we decided that this was a Strahd season. Had we?
I think we decided that very early. If we didn't decide it before the season, we decided it before episode 2.
This is all news to Eden, by the way, because for this season he hasn't been in a single planning meeting.
No, I don't know. But I think it would be interesting. I don't think you can talk about this season without talking about last season in a strange way. Because last season, and I'd be interested to hear about, because as a player playing through season 4 of the Dragon Friends podcast, if you're not familiar with it, the season started halfway through the season, and our memories had been erased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in a new place, and we didn't know what was going on, and it was very fun, and we did a lot of, it was like a big intergalactic adventure, and we were on a lot of different planets in a lot of different places. So I think the latest season has at least been partially a reaction to such a big, broad, time and space spanning story to be doing it.
Yeah, because season 4 was I'm actually sincerely I'm quite proud of season 4,
Yeah,
but
me too.
Yeah,
it was
incredible.
It was an overreach. I think we now, looking back and talking to fans and also obviously talking to the cast, it was doing too much too quickly.
I had an interesting conversation with Jane Ritt, who is Hey Mermaid, sometimes in the chat. She runs our Wikipedia, and she's just she's good at story structure. And I had a chat after season 4 was almost finished, and I was like, "What? Does this make sense to you? You weren't in the planning sessions, and you usually are pretty on top of it." And she had 80% of it, but the thing she said, which really stuck with me, was, it's a really fun idea to do a D&D season about memory loss, and it's really fun to do a D&D season where you blow out the multiverse.
Yeah,
but you did both at the same time.
Yeah,
and that
right.
and that was really I mean, I think if we had a time again and we did the whole season but without the memory loss element, it actually would have been really different.
But what I like about season 4, now that we got through it, and thank you very much, Jerry98, for saying that you like season 4, is that it sticks. And now it does widen the field. So we were able to do a whole season in Elysium because of season 4.
And that was really,
we can tie Avernus to it because of season 4.
Yeah, totally. And that was super fun too, talking about that first meeting you have when you and I sit down and go okay, what's the world?
Yeah.
Being able to build a fantasy world from scratch, the 9 known worlds, working all that out.
Even that was funny because you and me had such a mechanical conversation at the beginning about how many worlds there should be, and we had drastically different ideas.
Yeah,
because I remember.
Right.
What are the two perspectives? What's the other?
I think I wanted it to be multiverse hopping, almost.
You wanted so you said it had to be more than 60.
Or DC, where it's Earth 7749.
Well, I think I saw it as a kind of, that's what it was. I saw it as a Monster of the Week season. So I saw it as kind of like Sliders in a way.
Oh,
so
Terry O'Connell, wow.
And it's funny because I wanted to do that by, the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to simplify things. I wanted
You wanted the world to be more disposable.
I wanted disposable worlds. I wanted to be oh, okay, we're in this world now. And they have to we want a water world or whatever, and then we can just move on to the next thing, and we can really get back to Monster of the Week stuff.
And that's so funny because, and this is definitely my approach, which is, I guess, more arrogant, but I was looking at when we started doing that, and the Critical Role Taldore campaign setting had just come out, and I was also looking at a lot of Mark Hume's stuff about Eros, and I was just sitting there thinking so much. All of our adventures from now have essentially been in just a mishmash of other people's worlds. I'd love to explain that in a way that actually gives the Dragon Friends their own world.
And I'm kind of glad you did, but it's interesting because that definitely wasn't from the outset, because you remember one of our first episodes with Demi Lardner, we went to that great world.
Desert world with the Titans and things.
Yeah, with the Titans and the castles. And we had to kind of retcon that to be like, oh, that's not part of the 9 known worlds. That's like outside of the Lance and blah blah blah. Like we had to kind of we had to kind of pull that back.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Because that was when we were still thinking.
Yeah.
It's going to be like Monster of the Week, and every time we get to go to somewhere really cool with a cool mechanic, and like the Dragon Friends can just fuck around in there basically.
Yeah.
The Giants in the Sky was your idea, I think. That you were very strongly led that.
I don't know why. I started actually writing a short story about that recently.
Yeah, really.
Coming back to it because I liked that world so much. The idea of like a lost civilization. That was kind of in the sky and crumbling, and there were like prospectors underneath that were just basically like the opposite of mining. Like they had like their plots that they bought, and then when bits of the castle fell off, if it fell on your plot, then you were kind of entitled to it.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, because I as a player going through that, my thing was like, that's such a cool world. You can do a whole season in that world of things falling from the sky.
Sure.
So I was just like, oh, I want to know more about these places and who is in these places, and I think because of that big leap, I think now we have a richer world that we're filling out.
And as far as I'm concerned, and the problem, the joke of the 9 known worlds is the number doesn't work anymore. But that was the world that the Titans brought back, Perix. So that is now inside the cradle, and that is a world we should go back to at some point.
That is some of my proudest
So if
stuff.
you write that short story, I guess we'll sue you.
But it's some of my proudest stuff when when we retcon something that well. Like the ultimate, and this is like kind of, I want to start answering questions.
That's why my notes for that episode are called "There Are Giants in the Sky." Shout out to some people that recognize an Into the Woods. That was definitely.
Well, me and Dave. Saz just asked if Ben's an Into the Woods fan. Both me and Dave are quite big Sondheim fans.
Yeah.
Which
It's not for me.
if I'd had maybe 2 more of these, I would have busted out Giants in the Sky on this.
But we're going to be here for 2 hours, so you never know. By the end,
Diamonds in the Sky, Rihanna. Yes, that's my flavor.
there were some good questions. I'm going to forget them if I don't write them. I should start copying them down. One person, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was, had asked best Australian accents. They were saying they really enjoy Australian accents.
Oh, who does? What in?
No, what do you think are the best? If you were not an Australian and you were looking to Australia for your characters, say voices.
Brian Brown.
Brian Brown.
Brian Brown's
that
really
kind
good.
of.
He was in Cocktail.
Yeah.
With,
He was. I think that's his only kind of
big role, international
in
role?
Hollywood. Yeah. I think the Australian accent is a really interesting one because there are a lot of things you can do with it, but it's a bit. And I know this sounds idiotic coming from me, but like it is a bit more subtle than American or English. Like. American native speakers of the American dialect have like so many like character markers they can use within their own voice. Whether it's even just like urban or rural or north and south or like there's or coastal, like there's so many discrete languages that you can, dialects or accents that you can be like, oh yeah, I know that. Obviously for England it's so much more. Australia, like there are a lot, but they're subtler and like you kind of end up doing broad or narrow. Like that's kind of where you end up.
Yeah, we don't know how to name them. Like I couldn't do. All I know is in Melbourne they say elegant. They say elegant Melbourne.
So
but
you're saying that right now. You don't need to name them. You couldn't give us 7 distinct Australian voices.
No, I could do them, but I couldn't name.
Yeah,
them.
you can do 7 of them.
Could I do them?
7
I don't. We'd be like,
we've got 2 hours.
I'm like, actually, I don't know where to get chicken from.
1.
Oi, there, get out of my bloody front yard. It's not your property. There's boundary laws.
2.
And then there's like posh. So if you're from the Mossman, you'd be like, oh yes, I met
English.
Oh yes, I met Veronica down at the shop.
Oh yeah, that's
before.
good.
Yeah, it's very
She was nice and she was upset. And be like, then you could do a poiter. You could be like, oh yeah, so no, I met him down there. He made me look at his car. There was a big problem with it. I fixed it up. And then there's and then you could do Hugh Remington. Who's like, on 9 Nightly News, where it's kind of like it's a RP thing, but it's mixed up. And then you could be who else is there? There'd be like
Richard Moorcroft, Kerry O'Brien.
Richard Moorcroft. Well, who was I doing? There's a guy. What's his name?
Oh, Gillard Adelaide.
And then you can go really nasal.
As Felix says in the chat, it's either high or low, or I'd add to that nasal or non.
High. That's 5. Thanks, CJ Outlander. CJ Outlander. Okay, I get it. Not Outlander. That's 5. Hey, Franz, 4:20 a.m. GMT -4. Okay.
Blaze it!
Mr. Blaze it. 4:20.
It's funny actually hearing you do that, because Eden, in my mind, I always have you with an American accent.
Yeah, people. So it really offends me when I did one. Alex Lee's husband was saying to me, "Wow, you do a really good Australian accent." I'm like, "Yeah, I lived in fucking 25, 30 years. I lived in Australia."
But clear, like your parents, or at least your mother, not met your father, but your mother has like a very broad New York accent.
She's American. She's definitely American. And I was there for 5 years, so I have like I don't know what I sound like. Is short of it. But people do pay me to do Australian accents.
They do. You're the voice of
a
ABC
real thing.
Kids.
Yeah, ABC Kids.
Oh, that's a voice.
Yeah, that's it. ABC me. Hello, how are you?
Oh, that's good.
That's an annoying voice I could do for a character later.
Yeah, I don't think you've done that one.
I wanted to come to character, just talk more broadly about this, is what someone's like, how do you deal with Hing? Which I think is like more like, how do you deal with...
The Dragon Friends.
With the Dragon Friends. Like, how do you deal with like building this beautiful sandcastle to have them kick it down?
Yeah.
Which is like... There's like a glib answer to that, which is like, it's just, you just fucking do it and you feel terrible.
And this is your life now.
But there's like an actual answer to that, which is like, it's kind of baked in, right? Like we can't, we know that we actually can't be too precious with the plots that we create. And one of the great things about the Dragon Friends, and I think this is from so many of them coming from improv backgrounds, all of them, is that if Dave and I build a world, they might not do what we want them to do in that world, but they won't deny us the world.
Yeah.
So it's actually made our writing and our planning so much more world-based than plot-based.
Alex is particularly good at that. I was thinking about this because something Alex did in the last episode, which I shouldn't mention because of spoilers, but it's a thing she does all the time, which is Filge disrespects the rules of a world, of a place, in a way that absolutely works because it believes the rules of the place.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, as an example of that, 2 episodes ago, Filge telling the Flame Skull, "Why you dead?" Like, when did it just become?
So why you skeleton?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is like, that makes perfect sense for a character. It makes perfect sense for the world. I don't think it's ever happened that the Dragon Friends have been like, "Oh, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to respect that."
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like that's how you stay sane. Like that's how you stay sane building something in such an anarchic way. You have players that won't necessarily do the story beats that you write for them. You just stop writing for them.
Try not to write them story beats.
But you do write them a rich world and explain that world and know that they will respect it. That's a huge thing. So like,
was it you that said sandcastles?
Yes.
That is also such a good term for it. I agree with Velcro genitals. So congratulations.
We all agree with
making
Velcro
me say
genitals.
a phrase I didn't think I would say when I woke up this morning. But thank you, Velcro genitals. No, but the sandcastles is great because part of the joy of building sandcastles is knocking them down with your friends.
Yeah, and also like sandcastles aren't meant to last forever, and you can't live in them, and
they are a testament to like building something incredibly unsustainable for the joy of seeing it fall over.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing which I would imagine any DMs that are in the chat know is that nothing is lost. It is impossible for players to completely derail you because anything that isn't used is used next week. There are times when I've said to you after the show, it's like, well, I guess we don't need to meet this month.
But I think that took us a while to realize that it all stacks up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jack DVPT has asked, honestly, I'm more curious to the reactions when Ben says something that just pivots the story. Can you give us a example of that?
Yeah, that would be good.
Because I know that I do that. I'm just trying to think of a time that I've done that.
I mean, I can think of a few times. I mean, I'll see what he says, but I've got a couple.
But while we're waiting for Jack, like I think that like it comes down to
Yeah, cabbages.
Cabbages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so to be clear for anyone that didn't see, you did a trill, and then you, as a character, an unnecessary trill.
Trill?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm just practicing for the.
musical.
Oh, yeah, that
musical.
did come about because I was stalling for time
That was
and
not
couldn't
in the
remember her
note.
voice and just did a... Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. Like, okay, so like, Felix said crocodiles. Like, there's two types. Like, one of them is just me being a dickhead and Dave just being like, all right, well, I guess that's what that sounds like, or I guess that's what whatever. But plot points...
There's also a certain type of chaos that we all like. I think you can even hear it in my voice. There are times when I find I get a real vicious thrill out of forcing Ben to commit to what was a
Sure.
joke, and Ben wanted it to be a throwaway joke, and then I turn it back at him by going, "No, Ben, let's cut to that."
Yeah, for sure. And like, also...
And that's improvisers.
I was going to say, like, that's the thing, right? Like, we
Yeah.
all met doing improv when we were like 20.
Yeah.
And that's our...
The frog people and their mouth affection. Mouth affection.
Well done,
Is
Murphy
a
Biddle.
wonderful
Mouth
turn of phrase.
affection.
You can say that to your parents.
Let's not get mouth affection banned.
I think... Oh, the crocodiles in the engine room, yeah. I mean, I think so much of it, and I feel like I'm going to probably say a lot like this a lot tonight, but like so much of it is trust.
Yeah.
And so much of it is like... So for cabbages, I would like to think that Dave... thought, if I make Ben do this, if we commit to this in the story, then it won't just be uncomfortable for Ben, it will be a funny thing.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
and I think the thing that I don't know if this comes across, but like Ben is doing a lot of the work, but I think the stream would sound very different. All of us players in the background are doing the chorus of cabbages, big and juicy.
Oh, like
cabbages.
everyone's supporting it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so it's the and I think there are probably tangential ideas that don't get followed sometimes. Ben will say something, but it's when Ben says something puts him in the mud, and we all support the idea of
Yeah.
making Ben do this horrible thing.
I mean,
So
the
yeah.
obvious joke, Dragon Friends joke of that is lists,
yes.
which is the simplest version of that, which is
Yeah.
we all feel very comfortable forcing anyone to make a list because we know it'll be funny, and we know they don't want to do it, but we know that they'll get there in the end.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of trust and torture
Yeah.
in equal parts.
And I think, like, again, it really comes from knowing each other for a really long time, not only being very good friends, but also having done long-form shows with each other where we've been on stage without the benefit of a desk, without the benefit of table talk, and doing improv for an hour.
Yeah.
And getting through it and knowing we'll be fine.
Yeah. And
Only
like,
because we've done it before.
And we don't want you to think that improv is a good thing or a thing to be proud of.
or something to aspire
I'm
to.
really realizing that we're sounding like I hate we all hate improv, but we did it through our 20s.
No, we love it. Eden is like on the chair of improv.
I run a whole company. It's my whole life. No, but it really does come down to the support for an idea. If someone says an idea and no one says, "Hey, that's a good idea," then that person is left hanging. But
Yeah.
even if Ben has to do something, or anyone has to do something that's uncomfortable, if everyone is invested in them achieving that difficult task, then it becomes
Yeah.
easier. In a way.
Yeah, and I think also like I think it might have been Carla Ritchie, one of like the improvisers that we've had on the show before, saying to me, like, the first or second time he did it, I was asking him how he found it, and he was like, "It's so interesting just how many offers everybody throws out, and how kind of unified you are, and which ones to pick up and which ones to put down." So like, an offer in improv is just like an idea, like, oh, we could go there, or we could latch on to, like, a good example is like, very first... Oh, I'll tell you a great example. Like, the very first scene of the very first episode is we threw out the offer of Grimm being like, "I'm going to evict you if you don't find money."
Yep.
And that's like a really strong offer because it gives everybody a goal to work toward.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like blocking that offer. It wasn't denying the stakes of the world. But they went, "Let's go to the Daggerford Tenancy Tribunal." And there was like... So someone just asked, like, how do you decide which of those offers to take? It's like... You just see who's enthusiastic about stuff. So if you go back and listen, I bet Alex made that joke just as like a throwaway, and then everybody laughed, and our eyes would have lit up in a certain way that Alex was like, "Actually, let's do that thing." Whereas like, I reckon the ratio of like things you just throw out as a gag that gets a laugh versus like, no, we're doing that.
Well, the same episode, Alex decided that the Duke was her love child, which was treated as a joke. Like we can sort of do that with Dragon Friends. Dragon Friends has got a weird quasi-narrative reality to it, where I think you can sometimes say outrageous things. Something Grickmere said I want to point out as well, which is I'm not always the only one funneling the ideas, and there's a really good example of that with the Cabbages musical, which was. There was a moment at the end of the Cabbages musical where we got it back on track because the musical had a scene at the Temple of Mystra, which is the place they were avoiding for reasons of prophecy by going to a play. And that was your idea. You passed me a note.
Yeah, we very rarely do notes. Like we sometimes do like you pass me a note being like shut up or I pass you a note being like 15 minutes or whatever. But we very rarely do plot point notes.
But I think when we do them, they're often really important ones.
Oh, hugely, yeah.
And there is again a great moment of a note in that last week's episode, which I should stop talking about.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Bad content.
Dave, there was a question in the chat about whether you nerf encounters.
Yeah, I do. That's really interesting. So I nerf encounters for the stage show, much less than I used to, but still a bit. I used to have to nerf them a lot just because they aside from Eden, most people didn't really know how to play their characters efficiently.
Yeah.
And in the Beef Babes, I basically don't nerf encounters at all. And the way I tend to nerf encounters, because I've played everything from 3.5 edition on, is I really like the minions rule in 4th edition, which is that villains that are padding out the numbers, so when you're fighting 5 orcs, I don't really tend to sweat the hit points so much.
Sure.
Every hit after the first one, I tend to be like, was that a big moment? Is it time for this orc to die? And if it is, I just let them die. In 4th edition, minions had 1 hit point, which I actually think is a really good idea.
Yeah, that's great.
And but now in Beef Babes, have you felt it? Because in Beef Babes, you're fighting full challenge encounters. Some of them from this fine book. Thank you very much to D&D. That's the reason we're on this channel at the moment. Is out in stores now, The Descent into Avernus, which is their brand new setting, which has rules for having adventures not just in Hell, but in Baldur's Gate.
I think it's a different. It's interesting coming into this tiny room in your house, Dave.
Yeah.
And doing a stream.
Sometimes I make you dinner.
It's very nice. We're all having a lovely time. But the fact that there's no live audience here, and we've all been live performers, so when we do the Dragon Friends podcast in the Giant Dwarf Theatre, there's always the direct feedback of the laughter from the audience, which kind of tells us when the pace needs to be picked up or when nothing's happening. And we don't have that here, so we just kind of have to a lot more just play the game of Dungeons and Dragons, which is...
I'm enjoying that. Cause I also think it's the first time that... I mean, we're always curious to know what people think. Beef Babes, I think, is a very different show to Dragon Friends, and we didn't really set out for it to be.
No, and I think it's really interesting because the Tomb of Annihilation we did because we had this like amazing opportunity with Wizards. They were like, can you play this game basically every single week, this classic D&D module that they were sort of relaunching. And we, to be honest, really freaked out because we went, we are a live show, we're performers.
We've never done it.
We've never done it without. We actually felt like we'd feel really silly with doing it without an audience,
and we were really scared about being paid by someone to go overseas and do it, and discover that we were bad at doing it.
Sure, and we are. Like there's no doubt about it. We really are.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think that like what happened was we did like most of that season in a pub, and we had to build. We actually basically had to build a studio at a pub every week. And like we got really good at it, and I learned a lot about cabling, but it was stressful. It was a really stressful time.
And it was work. So stressful.
And it was a huge amount of work. And I really love that people love that season because like it is one of like the most awful times of my life looking back on it. And I'm glad that doesn't really come through. But then we did the last like 4 or 5 at this little studio where a couple of us were working, and we suddenly realized we were like, oh man, we don't need an audience.
Yeah.
We loved having them there, and anybody who came to the Peter Shimbolo, like that was so good to have you. But like we realized that we could do it because we make each other laugh and we give each other that energy, and it's a different
show. And part
show.
of it was one of the last streams we played a board game at like noon on a Saturday, And there were people on the chat, and we're like, "Oh, we can talk to people. There's people right there." The chat is a really fun.
The mistake we made in
element
Timber
of it.
Annihilation is, I don't know if people remember, but it was all pre-recorded. And this, and I'm pointing, you can't tell, but I'm pointing at the TV screen that shows the Twitch chat.
You have very Bernie Sanders movements, I find.
Oh,
What I'm going to
yes.
do is we're going to restructure the system.
I'm gonna ring
from
his
the ground.
neck. I'm gonna kill him with my hands.
I had a heart attack, but it only made me angrier.
Should we get into talking about, because we'll pick up questions in like we've not gotten to some, and we will, but this isn't a gimmick. Like, we literally need to plan. This
Okay,
stuff.
yes. So
What we're doing is very sneaky because this is sponsored content for Wizards of the Coast, but also we need to write this adventure. PAX Australia, the biggest convention in Australia, has invited us to do a 2-hour show to wrap up Sunday in their second biggest theatre. It's something that we've done in the past with people like Scott Ludlam and Auntie Donna. This year, all of Tripod, which is like our favourite Australian comedy band.
I was explaining it to my wife, who's very cool, so hadn't really
We
heard
have
of
no idea.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the band that I kind of grew up with, like the comedy band that I kind of grew up with. When I was like 14, they were like, they burst onto the scene.
I mean,
And I had all their albums, and I'd sing their songs in the shower, and I'd like
I had
pretend that I
bootleg
was...
recordings of the songs they would improvise on Triple J. I had a CD.
Yeah, because they did the song in a minute, or song in an hour, or whatever
yeah,
it was. And Anya was like, because Anya's a lawyer, and she was like, so this is like kind of like Ruth Bader Ginsburg for me. I was like,
Whoa.
absolutely not. Like, let's not go nuts.
But I mean, also not to be disgusting about this, but like when you and me first met when we were 19
Yes!
years old at uni, you had just bought. I didn't like
Middleborough Road.
And we were all so broke at that moment that one person would buy this CD that everyone would listen to
Yes.
for a year, and the CD of that year was Middleborough Road, and all of us, you, me, Mark Sutton from the Checkout, David Cunningham, who does this podcast sometimes, we would just sit and we could sing every song.
And I reckon I still could, which is like dangerous.
Oh, I definitely still could.
I could see by. I mean, we're going to be hanging out with them, and
Yeah.
I've got to play it cool. So let's get into it.
Yeah, no, I've got a fun thing which I'm going to try. I don't know if this will work. Shout out to Shaq, who worked out the system for it. But I have created, we always do this on Google Doc. And so I've created a Google Doc, which I think you can log into and watch us write in if you're interested. If you're playing Fortnite, just keep doing that.
now on Twitch, watch typing.
But, Shaq, can you bring it up? Actually,
Yeah, we're
on
trying to
screen?
bring Mavis Beacon.
cool.
So if you go to this URL, thedragonfriends.com/PAX 2019 notes, you'll actually be able to watch us write it, and you'll be able to see the notes, and we'll keep them up after we do the adventure, so you can see how close the show went.
Yeah, and like we put all this up with a couple of caveats. One, this is definitely going to change when we hit record, like when we go to PAX.
I mean, it always changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone who's read any of my notes I put on Patreon, you would realize that they often bear very scant
Yeah.
resemblance.
And also, don't tell the other players, obviously.
Yeah, Scott. Yeah, Tripod. If you're really creepy, firstly.
Yeah.
But secondly, Alex and Simon, they're not in here, and Eden is here. But Eden often has to do this, which is it weird for you? How do you navigate? Because you usually don't read the notes as closely as Ben does.
I haven't.
But you often have access to them.
Yeah, often I'll have access and I'll know what character's coming. I'm playing less and less characters because that's because Ben can do them. Ben's great at them.
Well, it's more that like you have a lot to do with as Baston, I think.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's more of the balancing thing, and I'm of better use as a player.
Hey,
But
sorry, just quickly, Shaki, can you email me the link for editing?
I'll just add you in.
Oh, thank you.
But I think probably for this adventure, how I often, because we are playing the game, but we're also performing a show, having a vague knowledge of the desired story beats means that if things are going totally off track, I can make a move as a character.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there like is there an obvious example you can give?
Oh,
Only to the really cool people that came for this stream.
I don't know. I don't. It's more like subtle things. Do you know what it's more often?
It's usually reminding them something I've said. It's my experience.
It's reminding of something you said, or it's in if we get lost in doing bits, and I'm like, okay, weren't we going to that hospital? Off we go to that hospital.
And that is absolutely what you do really well. Like,
just try and keep things moving
you're not,
in a direction.
because you're not like a Confederate. Like, you
What?
like you're not like a kind of.
You know?
I'm not pro. Thank you, Ben. I
mean,
agree.
like,
I am not pro-slavery.
You're not a man on the inside, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think once in the entirety of Dragon Friends, me and Dave have taken you aside and been like, just fucking do this, please. Like, make
Please,
sure they do this.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
And that was like potentially years ago.
Mm.
But yeah, it is like also good that somebody has their eye on like what we actually need doing. So
I think the notes don't work, Shaq. So if I've given the wrong URL, if you want to just put it in the chat, mine is wrong, and I will change it once I see it in the chat.
Can I be honest? Grickmere is saying the entire crocodile scene. The crocodile scene shat me to tears.
What was the crocodile scene? You keep talking.
When Hing kept falling
oh,
I wasn't there. You guys.
into the thing to get chopped up, I was like,
That's the session I wasn't at. I was
Yeah,
in America.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, you talk about like derailing. I came back and I remembered you were like, so the session went really well. Lady Cassilda's dead. You were basically done with that character. And I'm like,
she rolled a double crit. There was nothing I could do.
yeah, it's the roll of the dice, right? It's the roll of the
oh
dice.
my god.
So just so you know, like we are going. Yeah, that's right. Increasingly satiated crocodiles.
Yeah.
We're going into this. We've got an idea. So that's usually how it starts. It usually starts with a genre, I think. It usually is like, hey, have we done Western? Have we done
Yeah.
like?
Wait, have we
Frontier?
done a Western?
No, I really want to do a Western.
Is that what we're doing?
That was sort
No,
of.
we got a really good idea for this one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was sort of what I wanted to do with the Castles in the Sky. I wanted to do like a kind of Deadwoody Frontiers thing. But yeah, so like usually Dave will message me and be like, hey, we haven't done Lovecraft like at all. And we'll go, let's make a season about that.
Yeah.
So this one I messaged, I think I messaged you. Did you message me?
This was definitely you.
I messaged Dave and said, you know, it's PAX, it's Halloween. We've never done a haunted house before.
Oh, cool.
I also love the moments when you and me are like. Sometimes one of us will pitch to the other one, and the other one's like, "Oh yeah," and they're not that keen. But
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah, you can feel it.
We're like, "Oh yeah, we both love this."
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we were thinking, yeah. So it's like your old uncle dies.
Yeah, so it's like the classic haunted house setup. Letter in the mail. A distant relative dies. You've got to go there for the reading of the will the next day, but you've got to stay the night in the blah blah blah. And you know, we came with a couple of characters that can kind of inhabit that world, but also it's perfect for two adventurers because we two adventuring parties because we've got a bit of a challenge in this one because. We've never written for two adventuring parties before, and Tripod are playing three adventurers.
Yeah.
So we have not only did the Dragon Friends get this letter, but the Tripod also got this letter. And
What's their gang called?
Do they have a group name?
No, they don't have a group name. I haven't even shown them to you, I don't think. I certainly haven't shown them to you, Eden. I've got all of their character sheets now, and I've got all of their character bios, but they're just an adventuring party. And Scott sent them to me, because of course Scott is the actual nerd in Tripod, who sent me completely, perfectly laid out D&D Beyond characters, with all the spells set up, with all the things that every time I ask you guys to do a character, and I'm like, all right, well your character has 1 hit point, no levels, and it just has 73 entries of short sword +1. Are you sure you've done this correctly?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
So
So
basically that's where we're
that'd be
starting
cool.
from.
yeah.
We're starting from.
So what's the first? The first scene is what we obviously have the most control of, and I was thinking about this this morning.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that.
Do you okay to describe? I can do it. But
Yeah. So I think that the way.
or maybe someone. Felix, can you scribe?
No.
Oh, he doesn't have access.
Oh, absolutely not.
Felix isn't ready.
Yeah. So I've done the. Normally I'll do the spiel. It has been 6 years since the Concordia histories of 400 times came together in a single singularity of light, but I'll do that later. I might do that on the stream if we have time.
Sure.
But let's just go straight into the adventure summary itself. This is a format we wrote Gribbets in. This was by the way, this format.
Yeah. So we wrote the Gribbets Detective Agency, which Dragon Mag. No, it's not called Dragon Mag, is it?
It is called Dragon
Mag published, and it's now how me and Dave write. It's really useful.
Yeah, maybe I should put up a
template. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it really useful for writing adventures, and I always use this format now.
Should we let Felix? I feel like he could step up.
Okay.
We can grant him permission.
All right, Felix, if you take editorial control
You're
You're
done.
gonna lose this. All right. I can.
So
I made you, and I can break you just as easily.
so we'll give you permission to edit.
I can't. I don't even know his email address. Facebook me your email address, Felix.
Speaking of crossover, quick mirror, Dragon Friends vs. Beep Showdown. Look, Caspian Tonk, who knows, you know? Keep her weapons in her notes section and other crimes.
Yeah, no, we'll put that template up on our website or up on
Yeah, it's a great idea. I'll
up
put
on
Patreon maybe.
or Dragon Huddle. So look, we will bounce you so fast, Felix. You have no. We will ban you from
Yeah.
Google.
We will
If
cancel
you start
you.
doing your Type 5, Felix, we will go to your school and we'll stop you from being an improv coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're sitting the HSC now. We'll fail you.
Yeah, we have that
Yeah,
power.
we're markers.
I pick up the fucking phone.
I'm a teacher.
All right.
All right.
See the Beef Waves of Dragon Friends crossover.
I reckon if the CEO of Improv Theatre Sydney called up Felix's
Yeah.
school and said that he shouldn't be an improv
Yeah.
coach,
Yeah.
I think that carries weight.
Especially if you lied about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I could just make up anything I wanted.
Yeah, that's
All
the
right.
magic of D&D.
That's the magic of D&D and improv.
All right, Felix, you haven't made mod yet, but you are now the scribe of our adventuring notes. Congratulations. Thank you
Right.
very much. So I was thinking the first scene of this kind of story is the reading of the will.
Yes,
And I was so a lawyer.
Yeah, so exactly what I was thinking.
We should
I was
start with
thinking
lawyer.
like a Peter Lorre, or Law. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but
Yeah.
like that kind of, you know, the guy from the Maltese Falcon. It's like,
Oh, yeah, and he's also
Oh,
in Casablanca.
yeah, in Casablanca.
Oh, no.
I mean,
Welcome to the castle, and so good to see you all.
That's good.
oh, that's good. I
Yeah,
was
that's
thinking
great.
rivets, but that's. Oh, wait, what if they come with their own attorneys?
Yeah, that's good. Each party has their own lawyers. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So the Dragon Friends come with gribbets, and even Elizabeth, or Tripod can actually just describe their lawyer,
Yeah.
and that doesn't need to really be.
And I think it's like he's the caretaker of the estate. Maybe he's the executor of the will, and he's this like kind of Uncle Fester looking,
Yep.
but not as fun. Really, kind of. He looks like Peter Lorre.
Yeah,
like,
he's Peter Lorre. Do you have a name for this character yet?
No, the thread can name him.
Well, okay. So no puns. We hate puns, just so you know. So if you've got a good name, we need like a good characterful name for this kind of Peter Lorre.
Nah, Felix, pop it in scene 1 for now, and we'll do the adventure summary later. You can just pop in the adventure summary, the
Just
Dragon Friends
whatever
versus
makes-
Tripod in a haunted house.
We've
What-
already
yeah.
got a Steve Nickel canvas.
Whatever makes sense to you, Felix. I'll clean it up later.
Steve's a horse. Or a goat.
It should be like you said, like Fester is actually the type of
That's
name,
right.
Like Festus Torvald,
Um,
or did I come up with that, or is that someone?
Festus Torvald.
Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel.
um,
Michael Gambon.
Stibrings is close. With Berthus is with Berthus.
I don't like Stibergs because it's an anagram of gribbets. You can't fool me, CJ Outlander. With Berthus, yeah. What about like
Festivus Proceedus?
Festivus Proceedus?
How about,
Festivus Proceedus is a Seinfeld reference. Ribbets is another pun on gribbets. You're upsetting me here, chat, because you're doing exactly what I asked you not to do. We need a good but like I don't mind with Berthus.
Lester Krampus.
Lester Krampus.
Very
Lester
good.
Krampus.
Very good.
If
very
that's
good.
an anagram of some Nazi bullshit, I'll be very
No, I'm
upset.
into it. Okay.
Panda.
Lester Krampus manages the estate
Of who though? Who's
of
dying?
Mad Uncle.
Leroy.
Who's Mad Uncle?
I think it's more like an old waspish name.
Okay, Mad Uncle.
Okay, we need an old waspish name.
Wait,
Chat.
Yeah, like
Penelope.
like Worthington.
Oh yeah, great. We'll use the Worthingtons.
Who are the Worthingtons?
I don't know. I feel like I've used them before.
How about Word Ding Dong?
Thank you, Eden.
You've had one whiskey.
Yeah, Word Ding Dongs. I'm Mr.
Uncle
Word.
Cornelius is good.
Uncle Cornelius. I'm Mr.
Oh, Lester Krampus. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I like. That.
Yeah, can he be Cornelius Word Ding Dong?
Lester Krampus, who acts on behalf of Uncle Cornelius.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The late Wafflington. There we go. Uncle Cornelius Wafflington.
And who's it's Bobby?
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
They're not
Whose
a
uncle
family.
is it?
I mean, Friezo won't be there, which makes me think that it can actually canonically take place. Sort of, it could be something that was left, for instance, to the city of Daggerford.
Cool.
Because it could fit into season 5.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you want to make this canon?
We
Well,
very rarely make them canon. We always find a way to.
Make one shots in the alternate
I like Filge's uncle, actually, because like I like exploring the Filge family, because
Okay.
that would be Dilge's father.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, Phil
that's
just
that's
wrote
interesting. Why don't we make Dilge's father? Let's give him a really waspish name for an orc that also still sounds like an orc name.
Yep, we'll come back to it.
And
Wording dong. Sorry.
okay, so yeah, okay, so the first scene is the gathering of the family, which is a chance for us to meet the characters. And at this point, giving Felix some time to write what we've done already.
Do you know what? Like, I feel like they shouldn't have their own lawyers now that I think about it. Because
Just make one lawyer is fine.
I think
You don't want to talk to yourself.
I think Krampus. Well, I think Krampus is good because like we don't want them to like. What does that lever get us?
Yeah.
It gets us being like, oh no, but my lawyer says we actually own this, or my
Yeah.
lawyer says we actually don't have to do that.
And you will end up talking to yourself. There's
Oh,
two
hang
lawyers.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, Krampus is great, but I actually love Malgurius Grump.
Well, that can be Filge's.
Well, I think that could be the father. Yeah.
yeah.
Malgurius Grump, I think, is a great name for an orc.
So Lester Krampus, who's a lawyer or the executor.
yeah, and Malgurius Grump has died.
Yep, and he's Dilge's father.
Yeah, Mad Monty Grump. And
Yep. Monty Grump. Yeah.
And Monty Malgurius Grump. And
Yep.
he is Filge's twice removed great uncle. And
Yep.
because most of her family have died, and Dilge has died,
Yep.
that she has a claim. And he has passed it on to her, or he has passed it on to one of this adventuring party. Now, I'll just describe them for you, because
Okay.
I have Scott Edgar of Tripod sent me descriptions of all of the characters. So this is another little sneak peek for all of you. I will give you now the characters of the Tripod adventuring party for Saturday. So 3 of them played by Scott, Gatesy, and Jon, and Fox Dawkins is a rock gnome this is Scott's character, who as a child was taken into the jungle by his dad, who had some weird ideas about manufacturing ice for the natives. Deep in the jungle, Fox has a seriously spiritual encounter that he both refuses to talk about and keeps bringing up, which I quite like. After an encounter too personally meaningful to really get into, Fox was entrusted with the Boosh Band, a legendary artifact that enables its wielder to conjure an ancient forest in a destructively sudden manner. This is an awesome power, and Fox knows this because he keeps accidentally setting it off. Next is Thorax of Tremon, played by Gatesy, a dark elf with an offensively large upper body. He has developed said upper body in order to wield his ginormous sword, which is in fact a sword-shaped sign from over a blacksmith shop.
Sorry, just in case Felix didn't see that, Grickmere is absolutely right. Dilge was her half-brother, not her cousin, so just we'll need to make the relationships reflect that.
Yeah, but this is fine. The uncle, it's still her uncle.
Half-brother?
Oh,
Father of your half-brother isn't your uncle.
so it's her stepfather.
It's just another guy who
could be another
fucked
guy.
your mum.
It doesn't.
That's what it is. That's literally what it is.
I mean, we can do that. Can we do that joke? That's quite funny.
This is a guy who's not your dad.
Yeah,
who
we'll discuss
fucked
the
your mum.
genealogy of it. But he's left you this claim. And then the last is Simon the Sorceress, which I think is a character that Jon's played before, who wields a broom of flying. They're well known for not quite understanding their own signature spell, Flame Blurst. They act sort of haunted, and the fact they're usually covered in third-degree burns only adds to the creepiness.
Great. And I think that we'll make, even if he's not, we'll make Scott the kind of ringleader of this group.
Yeah, the rock gnome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense. And so
So he would have the claim, I think.
A rock gnome, an elf, and a who?
and a drow.
And
A rock, really a rock, in classic tripod style, it's a rock gnome, a drow, and a Jon. Like, Jon is very indiscriminate, but you can't get too much on your high horse.
Okay.
Because your class is technically handsome man.
handsome man. Fight a monk.
Yeah.
Oof, such a bad multi-class.
Must be coming in.
So what's their claim? Like, it must be maybe Monty had, like, maybe they were like...
I think we just said to Scott it's tied into his incredibly spiritual encounter deep in the forest.
yeah,
Bilge
but
was part of that. Like, sorry,
Monty was like... Yeah. Or, like, how about...
He met him during those years, and now he's being left an option to inherit.
Yeah, I mean, just as like a world building thing, like what if Monty was part of like a kind of Royal Society group of like bullshit adventurers.
Well, we already have the Waterdavian Historical Society. We've described has been something in our worlds before.
That's true, but I like them being pals from that. So one of them has like a familial claim, and one of them has like he doesn't know you, but he knew us.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that putting too much in their court? Like, I'm just like, when we have guests, I don't want them to have to build too much of the world.
Well, but I think that if it's part of the thing he doesn't talk about, then he will never have to bring it up. That was my point.
Yeah.
It's that whatever deep in the jungle, whatever spiritual fraternity Fox was a member of, later in his life Monty was.
Right, yeah. I just want it to be weirdly rich people stuff.
Right.
Which is why I liked kind of a royal society, and that hits that too.
Yeah, cool. Because I don't know how rich these characters are. I think they're pretty scummo.
Okay.
But anyway, so this is. I think the idea is that they brought forward these two people. They're giving out the will, and nothing's going to the Dragon Friends. Nothing's going to anyone until they say, in fact, or maybe nothing's going to anyone. His land, his holdings, his title, and all of his fortune, including his fabulous vault of magical items,
Sure.
is to be left to.
Oh, do you know? Yeah.
I was going to say to whoever can spend one night in a haunted mansion. Which
And are we going to go like that cliche?
Oh, I thought so. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
One night in the haunted mansion. So we're not going to dress it up in any.
yeah, at Grump,
Okay.
at Grump Manor.
Can we do the? Oh yeah, thank you for the sub.
Thanks, sub.
Thank you.
Well, the reason why I say yes, go absolutely direct boring is you've got 6 players. You've got 3, 6. Is that
Yeah.
more than normal?
No, it's normal.
Having 6 players?
The
We're
only
gonna
hard
have
thing is
8.
we normally only introduce them one at a time, which we can do. We could have Scott at the lawyer meeting, and then have the other 2 if we think that will be.
Let's keep that as an option, but I think that it's like, I guess I was just thinking then when you were saying like that trove of riches, do we want to do the ending like the Richie Rich movie ending, where like his trove of riches is just a bunch of sentimental bullshit about Dilge? Like it's actually no.
We can. But we don't want to end on too much of a sentimental note because it's a one shot.
No, but like I think yeah.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, unless I would always want to twist that. So unless your sentimental thing is one worn VHS copy of the movie Richie Rich.
Is that like enough of a? Do people know what I'm talking about when I say they're rich?
I mean, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
their treasures are in.
inside Mount Richmore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the treasure was love or
Yeah.
some bullshit like that when it should have been actual treasure.
But the point is, it's like it's wealth beyond compare.
Sure.
And what you have to do is he was resentful that people didn't visit him in his old age because they were scared. He was scary and they thought he was mad, and people thought that his house was haunted. So he says, whoever loves me enough to spend one night in my house, and will stay there until my lawyer Lester Crumpus returns at noon the next day.
Yep.
Inherits everything. And what should be clear to the Dragon Friends and to Tripod is that if you booby trap, spook, or otherwise kill the other party out of the house,
Yep.
you get everything.
Yes, definitely. And I'm just seeing like a really nice little detail with Crumpus, like in the I don't know if it's in the series, but like in the book of The Haunting of Hill House. Like the Crumpus is the gatekeeper, the gameskeeper who's like, I don't come back after sundown. I won't come back after sundown.
I don't know this book. What's this?
It's the house on. What is wrong with my brain? Please tell me what the name.
The House on Haunted Hill? Cluedo?
No, it's
Cluedo?
It's by Shelley.
Oh, he's probably thinking of Cluedo.
I'm not thinking of Cluedo.
Tim Curry's in Cluedo.
He's not in this.
You think?
It could be Rocky Horror, which Tim Curry.
The Haunting of Hill House. It's called. And they have a gameskeeper who's like, I don't come back after the sun. I leave when the sun comes down, and it's not Cluedo.
Yeah, I think Blackwater Park is right. It's probably Cluedo.
Anyway, that's just a nice little touch. So we've got to work out. I think the next thing is how and why this is haunted.
Well, someone was suggesting in the chat that the dude's faked his own death and does this as a way to...
That's such a good idea. We're 100% doing that.
Does this as a way to... He's like a big monster.
It's King Lear. He's King Learing it.
Well, King Lear?
So there's this
Now imagine
board
that
game
I
Cluedo. No, King Lear. It's like it's a test to see which of his relatives truly loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's so good. And so he's haunting them, and there's no ghosts.
Yeah.
Everything has to be explained after the fact.
Or, we're in D&D.
Oh, he has
so, he has, like...
a pet necromancer.
Exactly. Like, we don't have to completely Scooby-Doo it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Friendly Blanket, my dude. You will get 0 credit.
We're not even going to mention your name on this chat.
We're going to mention every single person who's been in this chat.
We're going to cut this out of the VOD.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to
Nothing
memory
you can
hole
do about
completely.
it. You know what?
We're going to goose game you.
Yeah. Copyright your IP.
It's fine. Everything's fine. It's good. You know they made like over $1 million.
Yeah.
Well over $1 million.
Did you
Oh,
see-
so far,
did you
dude,
see
they're going to make a lot more.
The Chaser is going viral with an article about Goose Game at the
Yeah,
moment.
it's a great feeling. It's
Sunrise, sunset.
This is the game that you invented?
Yep. Check the timestamps.
Oh, boy.
It's good to have a
I
laugh.
just love all the people that responded because you described it as being Winklevoss, and all the people that responded to your tweet with, "It's very simple. If you'd invented Goose Game, you would have invented Goose Game."
It's something about getting Sorkin quoted at you that's especially gorgeous too.
You really feel the sharp wit, the sharp dialogue.
Oh my god. Okay, that's so good. So he's actually alive, but we don't know that yet. I also think in this genre.
Should we do again the Maltese Falcony voice of like, oh yeah, I couldn't possibly. Welcome to, and maybe we can have in the reading of the will. So we introduce him as a character.
And then they play a video, a wizard video.
They play a wizard video. Like if you're watching this, I have perished.
Yeah.
In heroic circumstances, no doubt.
But it's
And then the lawyer learns it. He shit himself dead while eating a ham sandwich.
but it should be a hologram of Tupac, though, right?
I also think the great thing about that is like
Oh, this is a fun idea from Spaceport. He could intentionally wake some otherworldly. So we reveal it. We reveal that it's a hoax at the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
And then there's some otherworldly.
Well, I actually think there's 3 acts to it, and maybe you could break this down, Felix, into sections, because I think the way that this works to really play homage to the genre is round 1, you get so caught up in fighting the other party that you don't need ghosts.
Yep.
Round 2, the parties are cornered together by a ghost and have to work together.
Yep.
And then they reveal the ghost is Monty, but then there's a bigger threat, finale, end resolution.
Now, none of that will happen.
No,
None
but
of
you
that.
need to know the structure that you're going to fail to realize.
I think there could be a fun, like, physical trap to
Jubes, anyone?
I think it could be a fun thing to do, and maybe we've gotten pretty good at splitting the party sometimes.
I'm going to be
in terms
back.
of
I'm just going
having
to Pretzel Shack.
having tempo. There's pretzels right here, Dave.
I'm going to Pretzel Shack.
What do you mean? Oh, you're gonna give pretzels to your beautiful wife,
That's so nice.
Dave? Yes, people. All right, off you go.
Everybody
Off
should
you go,
pretzel
mate.
their wife.
Are you going because you
or
really need to
husband.
pee, Dave? Is that what's happening? If you're seeing this, I'm already dead. Okay, so
So that's good. Okay. So let's work out.
because it could be fun, just because there's going to be so many voices, right?
Yeah.
If we did a party split where one person from either party went and joined the other party.
Oh, that's fun.
You know what I mean?
I know. You know what I'm thinking. You're going to think that this is making fun of you. But have you seen the movie Cluedo? No, seriously. Because in Cluedo, they realize that there's a killer in the house, and what they do is there's 3 levels in the house, and they're like, okay, we don't trust the other groups. This is after they're working together.
Sure.
So let's split up, partner off, and we'll search a floor of the house each. And I think that's a really simple structure for Act 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
That's great. That's great.
And they choose, of course, how to combine.
So I think like
No, you're right. It wasn't Cluedo. I was thinking of the Haunting of Hill House.
that's the name of it. By Shirley Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley Valentine.
You're thinking of Steve Jackson, who wrote Death Trap Dungeon.
I'm not thinking that at all. I need to wee, and I'm going to be honest about it. I'm going to say that I'm going to give Shaq some pretzels.
That's what I
You're going to give pretzels to my wife?
How?
I'm going to. Oh wait, you can hear me. I'm going to get another beer if anyone would like.
I think I've had enough. Later.
I would like another beer just so I don't drink any more of this.
So what I will say is, just because we're doing a big PAX game, we probably don't want combat to be the key thing.
No, that's a funny thing to talk about, which is one of the things that we found in the show is that getting the amount of combat right is a really fine Like it's a tough act to pull because if there's no combat, there is this point when you're sitting on the stage and you go, we're just playing improv. There's no consequences. No one's rolling any dice, and this is fine. Like this is as good and as shit as monthly improv.
Right, and the random number generation of the dice does add another element, an unexpected element. Yeah.
If you have too much combat, then it ceases to become theatrical, and you get bogged down on it. So we've always said, I think, that the perfect amount of combat is 1.5 combats a live show.
Yeah.
A live show. So it's 0.75 of a combat a podcast episode.
Yeah, an episode.
Yeah.
How is my Tim Curry impression? See what's on the slab. Wait, what does Tim? Let
me try.
What's a line that Tim Curry says?
So, come up to the slab and see what's on the slab. I see a shiver with anticipation. All right.
Couldn't hold it.
You couldn't. It's too exciting. Yeah, I know. You just gotta like. It's a great movie though. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it.
Oh wait, this is how it goes. Oh, Rocky.
I made you, and I can break you just as easily. Sometimes even smiling makes my face ache. Should we just do that for this?
Yeah, let's just
do Rocky Horror quotes. What a wonderful movie.
What a wonderful movie. It gets weird when it's a spaceship and they're aliens.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, that's when it finally gets good.
So my parents let me watch the first half of Rocky Horror, and then they would turn it off.
Because of the aliens.
Try and guess where I wasn't allowed to watch past.
Where they're doing the sex in the sheets.
No, it's earlier than that. That might have been why.
When Susan Sarandon's in a wet dress.
No, it's when they're about to tear Meatloaf limb from limb. I think they thought it would be too spooky for me.
Yeah, they didn't want Meatloaf to get hurt.
No one ever wants to see Meatloaf getting hurt. We just all did our best Tim Curry as Dr. Frankenfurter. Yeah. It's a good movie.
An owl talking
You've
to
never seen Rocky Horror.
I don't even know what it's about, really.
Do you think do you remember?
Do you think it's about ghosts or aliens?
Hing thought it was about the time walk.
Yeah, in fact, when we were here's a little bit of inside baseball. When we were all ripping the shit out of Hing for not knowing what Rocky Horror was, I was like, "Yeah, let's get him!" Because I'm pretty sure it's
Burn the witch.
I picked up that it's like a car breaks down of like two normies, and they go to a castle where like a
pervert.
A sexy Tim Curry lives.
Yes.
And they have all sorts of sexual adventures. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. See,
I mean, he's also from space.
Is he?
Yeah.
No,
he's from the planet Transsexual in the galaxy of Transylvania.
Yeah, right. That makes sense that they'd be the same place.
Not true.
That's true. That is 100% true. I didn't make that up. I know how it sounds like I made that up.
Watch it. Okay, so this is what I would say. So we figured out mathematically that the best 0.75 per hour is the correct amount per show. We want
2 fights every 3 hours.
Yeah. So
okay.
We would probably want then, if we're going to have 2 fights, for the fights to be with everyone together, because if everyone has, when we've split them into 2 or 3 groups, if you have the fights then you have 2 separate fights and you have double the fights potentially.
Well, but I mean, at the same time, I think traps and 1-round fights
Traps
are good.
and puzzles and...
No, but I mean things that cost you hit points.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think we've just got to work out, like, I think, this is an interesting point that like I always kind of bring up and it's like a bit of a crutch for me, but like the thing I always ask Dave is like, who are they meeting? Who do they meet?
Who has a voice?
Who has a voice? But also like not just because I want to play people, but because I think the Dragon Friends talking to other people is where some of like the richest stuff comes from. And so like who are they meeting in this thing? Because like, these ghosts can have unique characters and you know what I mean? Like if it's just spike traps or
in that case,
but also they will be interacting with each other.
But that's interesting. So what if we Bluebeard's castle it as well? What if and this is a way to make it a bit more social. We have a sort of thing where, and this is again because I'm sort of obsessed at the moment with Disneyland rides. But if we have Uncle Monty, either him or his father had 3 wives that all died under suspicious circumstances. You create the idea of a ruinous family history
Mhm.
where the ghosts are named and are known entities, so we know who they are.
Oh,
and
okay.
they want certain things in a sixth sensey kind of way.
But is he still faking it?
Yes, but this is his real family history. So you might.
Oh, that's sick.
I
Are you turning on Mad Uncle Monty?
So there is I like the Mad Uncle Monty, and you can go the way where it's oh, he's doing this thing as a test for love, and you can also, I think, maybe a simpler way, which is maybe less exciting, but simpler, is
You're doing great work, by the way, Felix. This
You're
is
doing
really
great.
good.
Yeah, it's
Is-
fantastic.
is that he is a interdimensional being who does this a lot to lure adventurers here to kill them.
Oh, like this is an Acera rack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that the final encounter is the dude who is not dead.
I quite like, by the way, just what the phrase that Silver Thylacine just had there, which was like a family curse. I think that even if that's not what's happening, I think that's how Monty frames it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very
I think also perhaps
Cluedo.
maybe also we really play up the fact that he's like, I'm the last Gromp. What was that their names? The like he's like
What is it?
Yeah, I'm the last of the Gromps.
Yeah.
Right? Dilge would have been the last of the Gromps, but I am the last.
And he succumbed to the curse.
Yeah, and I'm the last of the Gromps. Every Gromp.
That's great because he doesn't know that they were there when Dylan
No, exactly.
died too.
Every Gromp has died under suspicious circumstances, and so I leave it to you. Not exactly a blood relative, but I know that you were kind to Dilge and kind to and shared a mother with Dilge. So like, I leave it to you, Filge, not
Yeah.
a true Gromp, and I leave it to you because of this incredibly personal experience that we had in the forest.
Yep.
Fox Dawkins, and
Yep.
and if you can survive the curse, I want the curse broken. So if you can spend a night in the house, maybe that was the curse. Maybe it's like anyone who's.
How did he live there?
Well, I was thinking maybe.
I live in the rumpus room. It's more of an annex.
was gonna say
Apparently, it's not cursed.
maybe anyone who spends a night in the house is doomed, and he had a wasting sickness. So you know what I mean? Like he saw a ghost, a spooky ghost.
But also, like, where there's a curse, you want to break it, right? You want to get the curse reversed.
Yeah. But that's
In
my
a way.
feeling. Is like he's like whoever lives is the true inheritor, and this is how we're going to end the Grumpus curse.
Yeah, right.
But maybe also he thinks that he's going to sacrifice them to the curse is a devil or a demon that's cursed the family, and he's going to give them to the devil.
Okay, so hang on. Yeah, let's step back and work out
Oh,
what's
yeah,
real and
right.
what's not.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what is actually happening here?
So what I'm
Monty is like not dying at all. He's just old.
oh, but I mean, if he's having a wasting sickness, that gives him a real motive as well.
Definitely, but he's not dead.
No.
And he wants to. So it's not really King Lear. He's not looking to who loves him the most. He's,
No, we
he's
changed
luring people. He's luring people into the house
Yes.
to be able to break this curse, so
Yep.
he can live it for the next 20 years or so.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, no, this is it.
Yep.
Well, how has he lived so long, and why do members of his family keep dying mysteriously? The Grumpus curse is that he's sacrificing people to this devil or demon or being that lives
To
in
keep
the
himself
attic
alive.
of the house, who then takes most of the life force and gives some of it to him, which helps fight off the wasting disease that he got in the jungle years ago.
That's great.
Oh!
That's
Did you get
great.
that, Felix?
And also, that's great because they can also find evidence of other parties who've spent a night here.
Yeah.
like
But
similar letters.
The first
and
thing he
like,
did is he killed all of his family.
Exactly.
And now he's been doing this. And this is why he's offering the house to a very distant relative.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's so good. Okay. So the
Oh, and someone just touched on something which I think is really interesting, where they said, and it was actually something that occurred to me when we were talking about it, when we had the idea that he'd killed all his wives, which was like, why don't you gender flip Monty to make it husbands so we don't have violence against women?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a really interesting part of like the storytelling that we try and do, which is that sort of stuff. To keep away from that, we tend to not have like domestic situations. Like we tend to not have like a husband kill a wife. We tend to have it be more broad, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah. I think, I mean, in my
Because
mind,
obviously in fantasy people die and some of them are women. So.
me calling it a Bluebird situation is what makes it really gendered, and I've kind of moved away from that anyway. I think he's killed his whole family.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Rather than like a succession of young wives, which is more interesting anyway.
Yeah,
So
he's been working through his whole family.
yeah.
So sorry, not actually.
He's gone on to fantasyancestry.com, found
Yeah.
a few that you didn't know about.
Exactly. Not actually curse the demons taking the house, and the parties that feed him are also his attempt to get rid of the demon, sacrificing them and rooting for them at the same time. So maybe rewards for encounters make sense. Does that make sense to you?
The parties that feed.
Oh, I think that's what we said. That the buttress.
Oh, so it's saying he's actually caught by the demon. I think what the buttress is saying is that he's caught by the demon, and he's hoping if they die, the demon will give some of the energy, but he's sort of hoping that they'll win, because if they win and kill the demon, then he's free as well.
Then
But I
he'll
think
be
then he
free.
dies. I think yes, that's like a nice maudlin end, and he would be happy for that because
Yeah.
he's free. But I also think he will then, like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, waste away and die.
Yeah.
But there's that freedom. How long has he been doing this for? And he's kind of a slave. As much as he is alive, he's a slave.
Someone had a really great idea for a trap I don't want to forget as well, which is, because it's so perfect with this genre, is a secret passageway that looks out into a corridor, but with eye holes cut into it, but if you look through them, you get the D&D condition blindness,
Great.
but you can see your eye color is painted into the portrait on the other side.
And you can see through the portrait.
And from a fixed position, which is a really
It's a great trap,
cool D&D trap.
which you'll get no credit for.
no credit
No
at all.
No
credit at
will be
all.
Not
given.
at all.
Smiggins the murder
Make
butler.
a goose game about it.
Smiggins could have a cameo.
I love
potentially.
Smiggins. Smiggins is so funny.
What if Smiggins is the third? I mean, that's like trapped in with a maniac.
I think a nice thing that someone brought up as a way to
Or a
separate
family Smiggins.
family Smiggins, a nice way to separate the parties was just having a collapsing floor. They go upstairs and go along the hallway, and several floors collapse.
I mean, yeah, we could definitely do that, and an earthquake could break them down. But I actually like using the mechanic from Clue, which is we have to search the house. We have to do it quickly, finding a reason why they have to do this,
Yep.
and then going, there's 3 floors, and we don't trust each other, so we're going to divvy up in that could be a Baston suggestion, or it could be a Gribbet suggestion.
But
Yeah.
I think that's like a good, broad point about doing single location one shots, which is, or just single location settings, where it's like you need levers that you can pull to bring the party together.
Yeah.
Something that we learnt the hard way is if they're so disparate that there's no chance that they can ever come together, all of a sudden you have a player that's just alone, or you have something that isn't really working. And so, if Dave and I were doing this as an episode, I think one of the conversations we probably would have had is oh, okay, well, a floor can collapse, or they can be teleported here or whatever. We're always trying to think about plausible ways that we can reunite.
Yeah, how you can bring people
Yeah.
back together. Yeah.
Now, again, because I'm weird and I've been obsessively watching YouTube videos about Disneyland and the Haunted Mansion.
What brought this on, Dave?
Loneliness, probably.
Oh, hear that, Shaq?
No, but one of the things that's lovely about the haunted mansion, which is like an American archetypal idea of the haunted house. One of the things that's really nice is that you see paintings in the hallway as you walk in of the family.
Yep.
And they're all the people that are dead, and the ghosts have names. And I wonder if we set that up really cleanly at the
Yep.
beginning. Every floor is inhabited by a ghost, and they're different types of ghosts. So there's like the Wailing Child.
And again, are these real?
Yeah, I think it's all real now because we've sort of set this up.
But why aren't the ghosts being hey, this is a trap?
Well, perhaps potentially
They're
the
just
ghosts
mad.
are being controlled by this
Demon.
necromantic demon. So
Okay.
they're compulsed. But there's like the Wailing Child in white.
Dumbwaiter.
Yeah, Dumbwaiter is a very good trope. The Poltergeist and the Bloody Elevator. I don't know, but there's 3 ghosts.
Yep.
And they correspond to members of the Gromp clan. The third one might be Dilge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dilge died in a different way.
Maybe it shouldn't be Dilge.
I'd leave Dilge
Yeah,
alone.
it's hard to do without Tom too.
Fearless, can you make a note of Dumbwaiter and key locations, please? Just because I want to get in it. Maybe. I might want to get in one.
Okay.
Go up some floors.
Yeah, that's a good point from the buttress. When people died, they actually may not have noticed like when people die, they don't know why they didn't get to the end of the
Yeah,
part of the plot. They may have just
Right, like
But
their
also-
spirits are just mad that they got murdered.
Yeah.
And also they're mad and they're spooky ghosts and they're they will kill everyone because they're racked with pain until the mystery of why they died is solved, which is just the ring. It's just like
Yeah.
this classic idea of ghosts.
Spoilers. Never saw The Ring.
Really? Okay, so 6 people.
I thought it would be too scary.
No, it's 6 people go to a mansion
Also, VHS
because someone has
is
been killed,
Yeah.
and there's 6 murder weapons in different
Yeah.
rooms.
Yeah.
Oh no! All right, so
They have to kill each other? Retrieving Baston from the Dumb Raider. That goes by
so I guess we just want to map out the house, right?
Well, I do we need to, because I wonder if there's going to be. I think that part of it I feel like will be pretty loose. I like the idea of there being 3 stories.
That's all I mean. Like 3 stories, and like I think they need to start in separate wings.
But in the system of in that kind of concept of Betrayal of the House of the Hill, the board game,
Yeah.
I think that the themes are there is the basement, there is the ground floor, and there is the second floor.
Sure.
And that
Right.
just gives us, and then maybe the finale's in the attic, but that gives us strong
Yeah.
themes because upstairs is family quarters,
Yep.
kitchens, dining rooms, entertaining, halls, lounges is ground floor,
Yep.
and armories, dungeons,
Sex dungeon.
rumpus rooms, dens are in the
Downstairs.
downstairs,
Is under
and
Right.
servants' quarters.
Servants' quarters. Yeah, right.
And so we can do different types of haunting too. We can do like madness. We can do.
Well, this is why I think that we should actually come up with a concept of these 3 ghosts,
Okay.
because I think maybe the idea is that as the devil is feeding on the life energy, or the demon is feeding on the life energy of dead gromps.
And does it have to be like people
Yes,
connected to the family?
because of this curse. I think it does.
So why is tripod being called?
Okay, no, so you're right. The position is, you're right. I'm wrong about that. It's just that it has to be, the power only extends to the grounds of the house.
Okay.
So they're being called because just to get people into the house.
God, we're building that. Who was that actual serial killer who just had a murder house?
No.
John Wayne Gacy.
No, this is not the John Wayne Gacy Pact special.
Sounds like it kind of is.
And I think that if we have 3, because what I'm saying is like the last 3 people killed.
Yeah, possession. Sorry, just quickly. Possession is a fun idea too.
Yeah, one of the ghosts should be. I think the 3 ghosts should be a poltergeist, a possessor, and a small child or 2 small children, a la The Shining.
But what are their powers?
Or maybe they're the poltergeist.
They could be. Yeah, let's make them the poltergeist.
And
Oh, that means we're gonna have to kill children, which I actually like in a D&D way. I don't like. I
we have killed children.
heaps of times. I know. I don't really have a problem with that. I just like it's a pack show, and like we might get people offside.
I don't think you will kill children because you're not. All of these ghosts will be immune to all weapons.
Yeah, good.
You're gonna have to actually find. You're gonna have to solve the things that the ghosts want.
Sorry, you're right, Felix. It was H.H. Holmes, but like also you shouldn't know that.
So we need 3 typical types of ghosts. And I think the 2 little girls, the poltergeists, which should be in the kitchen or somewhere with knives and things hanging all over the walls.
And they'll be fun NPCs. I'll work out.
Yeah, come live with us, Danny, forever. And
Yeah,
ever
but I'm
ever.
thinking like maybe a subversion of that.
Oh yeah, go on.
Well, now it'll just seem like we plan all this stuff, but like I think it is quite.
You
funny.
think? Oh, no, you think you're just going to upset me on stage with
Yeah.
it? All right, that's
Yeah.
fine. And then so that's quite funny. And then I think the possession is good, like the bride who swoops in and into Baston and then takes control of Baston, and that's fun too because that's literally using people's character sheets and abilities against them, and they can also be there's fun there of me using people's abilities.
And it's also fun. Like we should do because like that's also a fun character thing. Like it's one of the dragon friends actually doing an NPC because if they're possessed, they'll actually play that character. And like,
Isn't it the other way around?
no, like I imagine if it goes into Baston, Eden has to do that voice.
Well,
I'd have to do a
but I'm
voice.
talking about in combat.
in combat, that's fine. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like you direct it. But what I like about it is like Alex is like such a good improviser and like a really funny voice actor, but very rarely gets to do characters. If she was suddenly possessed by the bride or whatever, that'd be a really fun thing for Alex to do. Playing this character directed by you, being like,
we'll have to be careful with it because we tried to do that with Simon once, and he got very confused.
okay, what was that?
When Simon came back,
Mm.
Casilda.
Yeah, you're right. You're
So
right.
So yeah, possibly, but we got to work out how it works exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
That is the sort of thing, by the way, that like sometimes people ask us like, how much do we prep the players? Very little, but sometimes we do say.
but we didn't prep him for that at all. I don't
No,
think.
exactly.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
that's the sort of thing that we would actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And then we need a third type of classic ghost. The Hatbox Ghost.
Hatbox Ghost?
It's a reference to the Disney World ride, The Haunted
Stop
Mansion. All right.
looking at Disney World rides.
Not
I
even
don't
looking, it's blank.
like it.
I
We
could-
were just there. We could have
I
gone.
know.
We should have gone.
We should have.
Um.
Oh, yeah, maybe the third ghost is just a white sheet with the eyes. Do you remember that thing?
Hello.
What do you want? That cup. Thank you. Bye. I think we can get in our back sleeve if we were running way over time. Do you remember this was in Tomb of Annihilation. You created a character that needed his riddle solved in the heart of Ubtar.
that was honestly the best thing I've ever done in the show.
So Ben had this idea of a character that was in a series of riddles that came and gave a riddle. And Ben said to me, I'm not going to come up with the riddle, though. I'm just going to improvise it. And then I want to see how long they will spend trying to solve my riddle.
Yeah.
But the actual riddle will be just kill the man and take his dagger.
Because he had like he had a key in his hand
And
his
a dagger
hand
in the other hand.
Yeah, and his hand was closed, but it sounded so much like a riddle. It was like made of glass, but made
Cannot
of stone.
speak.
Like turn
Cannot
me.
speak upon my throne.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys wasted like half an hour. It was so good.
Oh, that was
Sounded like a riddle. You hear a riddle, you think there's going to be an
yeah, you
added.
don't think your friends are going to screw you?
No. Well, they told me this riddle for a reason. That riddle made me so mad. Good work. Yes, collapsing floor. Which also put in traps. The
Maybe
painting,
the third one is just the Babadook.
the painting that steals your eyes.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
pain that steals your eyes, I think, is a trap, not a
Yeah.
ghost.
Yeah, a trap.
And so as I understand it, the first bit of it is going to be both groups are given a room to sort of bed down in,
Yep.
and then basically left alone. Because if I know the dragon friends,
They'll try and kill Tripod.
they'll try and kill Tripod, and we don't need to really do anything of that. And then we pick the worst possible moment for them when they're most vulnerable, when the ghosts show
Yeah,
up.
exactly. So we can actually have them do like very much
Set their own traps.
mortal combat in a way.
Yeah.
Like, in that they are mortals and they are having combat.
Yeah, it's a death match.
And then we can just be like, oh, by the way, here's a werewolf. Or whatever.
Yeah.
That's great. That's another thing. Like, I'm trying to sort of weave a lot of the stuff that Dave and I talk about a lot in, but like having panic buttons. Not necessarily panic buttons, but like story buttons that you can press
To
at
advance.
basically any given time.
Yeah.
That you can kind of set off. So, like, bringing in the supernatural, for example, is a huge story button for
Yeah.
this one that you will kind of keep dry for a while. I'm mixing my metaphors horribly now, but that you will.
Yeah, that you have it there.
And it's actually as a like kind of D&D from a D&D point of view, I think a really good thing when you're creating a session is and a really empowering thing is having a couple of those up your sleeve.
Right.
They're not
'cause- well, and particularly because the Dragon Friends, you never know how long the bullshit will go on for.
yeah.
That a random encounter with a lawyer will become a whole musical theater session.
Felix, I think white sheet with holes over the eyes is making everybody think you're making a clan joke, which I don't think, to be fair to you, you were. I think we were talking like a Scooby-Doo ghost.
Yeah, like a Scooby-Doo
Yeah.
ghost, just a regular sheet
Yeah.
with eye holes. Yeah, not a okay,
Not-
but this
To be
American-
fair to Felix, I don't think that was intentional.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give Felix a lot of latitude, but I'm prepared to give him that. Okay, so yeah, so we have those buttons that we can press. We have like basically 3 levels. All right. Well, you should.
Oh, in that case, Felix, that's your one strike, all right? Or like we're giving you permission to edit our notes for us, and you're doing a really good job, but please don't put in actual jokes about the KKK. That is one way that we,
You know what though? That's what we should have said that up top.
Okay, that's
Ashley, Audie, we're planning for the
one
one
shot.
the one shot that we'll be performing at PAX Oz this Sunday, which you can see, I think, on the PAX Twitch channel.
Yeah. So
yeah. So the, as you said, the supernatural occurrence, which maybe is the demon appears with the 3 ghosts behind them, and maybe teleports them in groups. Should we just Should
We
we
could do
Deus
that.
Ex that?
We could. I mean, like, have that up your sleeve.
I kind of prefer if they have to if they have to group up.
What if you do like the three ghosts appear and they all run off in different directions?
Oh, that's interesting. So you get like you know what's coming.
But then why are they following them? So is it like the doors lock themselves shut?
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like the objectives of this are really interesting because it's like it's not like they have to go and find something; they just have to stay alive.
Only for
so,
the
like,
first half. I think it has to change now.
That's what I mean. Like something has to force them out of.
So maybe the house itself. Maybe he's like, maybe. Okay, how about this? The house is going. They're at their most vulnerable. We push the button, and Monty Gromp shows up with, Obstrix, Lamia Obstrix, the demon, or whoever it is, and is like, or even the demon's not even there. It's like, you fools, I brought you here. I'm sucking your souls out to feed the demons. By noon, you will be desiccated corpses. The house itself is draining your life.
Oh, the house
Everybody,
eating them. Yeah.
everybody roll a d6. You lose that many maximum hit points, and I'm going to do that as a sort of timer through the game. And then now you need a reason for them to chase these three ghosts.
Yeah, like to break the curse or.
Well, but maybe that's what the ghosts.
I liked JCD's hands idea where it's just like, yeah, the third ghost looks like a shitty Scooby-Doo ghost, and that's the reveal of Monty.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
Because he has to do it himself. I don't think he can just sit back and
that's funny for you. Yeah, that's good character.
Yeah.
But I think that then he's the fourth ghost because I think
okay, yeah,
that they all need. Actually, no, because you're right. One group confronts Monty. One group confronts each of the other ghosts. Is quite cute.
Yep.
And we don't need to have too many ideas. Silver Thelassine, that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. I agree. You can sort of Deus Ex this stuff, but I think in short games we've only got an hour or two. After the beginning, it's really the DM. You should try not to force. Show your hand too much and be like, okay, now you have to go here, you have to go here, and you have to go here. It's better if you can let the players work out how to respond to the challenges.
And that
I'm reluctant to do that, although you will see if we run out of time. We'll probably do something like that.
Well, because also, like, you as a player, like, do you want to weigh on when, like, we've definitely put you guys on rails before. How does that, like...
Well, it speaks to, and it kind of speaks to the idea of, you've got this thing set up, this man says go to the butcher shop or go to the cave outside of town.
Yeah.
And if the players then say, oh well, we want to go to the leadership tribunal or whatever.
Yeah.
You want to say to them, you want to say yes to your players, but kind of keep up your sleeve and push them in that, be like, okay, well, they're not doing the thing that I want them to exactly. I'm going to let them do what they want to do and introduce my idea again in 5 minutes as the next option so that it becomes clear that that is their option, essentially.
Yeah.
If you don't defeat the ghosts, they will take 2 to 3 times the periodic damage.
Yeah, so I feel like we need to stitch them dying...
Well, that's a big note. That's not fitting in our chat.
Hang on, I'll bring it up here.
That's a big one. Flagellate or stage in awful motions. They're all dressed all in yellow. On the second night, they have front row seats.
Well, what if it's something like I really like, and I know this comes from Disney World, but I really like coming back to this idea that when you first, like, the old groundskeeper opens up the doors and they go into the hallway. It's dominated by these 3 portraits.
Yep.
Of the most recent members of the Grump family, and you can see the old patriarch, half-orc, who's like an old British gentleman with just a tinge of green around his jaw of Grump.
Yep.
And you can see his the twin 8-year-old daughters, Mercy and Clementine, and you can see his bride, so-and-so, like all of these people who will then end up being the ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And what would be great is if we could get to a point where they realize that the ghosts that were backing him up are those people.
Yes.
And then they race back to those portraits and investigate the portraits.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, Mercy and Clement, like,
yep,
they had a bedroom. This idea is half-baked, but
No, it's good. We just got to work out, like, in terms of the timeline of how this actually happened, like, how long has Monty been pulling this scam?
No, well, yeah, exactly. But I think we could do a thing which is like, the most recent members of the family have the pride of place in the portrait gallery. I think we can make the room the portrait gallery,
Great.
and they
Yes.
and it,
yes,
and
yes.
because I'll describe it when they first walk through the door. The paintings closest to the doors are the most recent Gromps.
And how are we going to have them? Like, do we just want literally to do like a combat hit points thing, or do we want to have an inventive way of killing these ghosts? 'Cause-
No. I want it, and I want there to be a clue when they go back to the portraits. I want it's like, okay, so this is where I get
Like
back
the
to
little kids should have a toy or something.
like a sled, and they need to give the kid the sled.
Yeah,
and
so
then-
exactly
roll
in the
with
portrait,
bud.
the kids have exactly. Both their hands are on a sled, so you got to go find the sled and give it to them, and that calms them down.
Right, and no, it doesn't just calm them down. I think it
It makes them disappear.
it frees them and weakens the demon.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think maybe Thylacine might have actually been right. Maybe what happened is maybe the demon or Gromp whisks them off and locks them in 3 different rooms, like the ballroom, the nursery, and the kitchen,
Yep.
and locks pairs of them with a ghost each.
Yep.
And then we just split the party, hit hardcore.
Yep.
They have to fight through. Whoever breaks out first can be a landline for the groups that don't work it out because they can burst through and rescue the others.
Yep.
And then once they're all free again, they need a clue that takes them to the attic.
Yep. So in an ideal world, we would have Dragon Friends and Tripod enemies, Dragon Friends and Tripod try and kill each other, Dragon Friends and Tripod unite.
I think Act 1 is just is Home Alone. It's like Dragon Friends and Tripods try to make each other flee the house.
Yep.
Then ghosts attack.
Yep.
And denouement, and they are separated, and they have to buddy up.
Yep.
And then they fight those buddies up, and then they all race to the attic, confront Gromp.
Yep.
And I think Gromp, so that there's not another character, it's just that Gromp is cursed by a demon he's been cursed and given power by a demon from hell who isn't there.
Right, and he just takes his energy from this.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could just be as simply, if we wanted to tie it to anything from Dragon Friends, it could be like, it could be Lady Carco, like, it could be Carcosa.
It feels Carcosan, to be honest.
It could also be Listeria Obstrix, who is a demon that Hings made a deal with in Beef Babes.
Yeah, great.
Which we haven't really dealt with as a character, but who is someone who just makes deals.
Yep.
So it's just some demon. And
Yep.
I think the idea is that he went into the jungle and he got Chilton's wasting sickness, and he started to die, and then he made a deal with a devil from hell.
Yeah.
And he should be like coughing in the videos. He's someone who is famously of bad health.
I think he's like constantly being topped up, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, great.
And the lawyer's probably in on it.
Yeah, I think so.
The lawyer's just
I think
being,
a lawyer's almost like a familiar, right? Like,
the lawyer's sort of being paid off. The lawyer's like, every 6 months you tell 3 people that this guy's just died. He's left them his house.
yeah, great. I wonder if the Dilge connection muddies it.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be.
Because, like, then it's literally just a fucking scam.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
then it's literally like they do this all the time,
Yeah.
and it's just a scam.
Yeah. Did Felix have to go?
He did have to go.
Ah, okay.
I'm Felix now. Eden is the ghost of Dave. What? Hello, Super Slayer. It's 9 foot tall.
I think he should be a super sus lawyer, Jerry98. I totally agree. So, yeah, that's basically it.
I think that's it. Like,
But what we just need to do is, do we need a third?
I think
What's the moment that that the players get all the information?
when Monty reveals himself, I think. Because Monty thinks he has them. Because I think Monty needs to do something. Like, the ghosts trap them. I think he needs to do... I don't think it's enough that they just die there.
I
Yeah.
think also.
But I guess that's why I'm sort of saying is it's like, why is he picked that moment to jump? It might not be a big important question, but I'm just wondering if it is. Why does he pick that moment to spring the trap?
Yeah,
He locks
yeah.
the door, presumably magically, in a way that they can't get out.
Yeah.
Is there a way that it could clearly, the key to opening that door can be the ghosts?
I see what you mean. Should we just make it neater that the ghosts are connected to the curse?
I think we lose something actually if we do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think that's what makes it a nice, like a satisfying haunting story.
Right.
No, I see what you mean.
Like, could it be as? I mean, if you talk about making it simple, like the simple way would be Monty would be like he draws an eldritch sign in the air, and the door slams shut, and the key flies into his hand, and then it hovers above his hand and cracks into 3 pieces, and that flies into the heads of the ghosts.
Love it.
And then they flee off into the house. Do you know?
Yeah.
Is it like that's pretty Deus Exy? But do you reckon that would?
No, it's fine.
I think I think it's okay with having 6 players, especially 3 3 and 3 who've never played with each other before, for it to be, because the fun of this show is going to be the Dragon Friends first tripod, and then tripod.
I love people are watching us do this, and then the joke is going to be like, "What color is Ghost come?" And then there'll be like 45 minutes of that. Like, this is what it's always. This is how it starts.
Yep, so much care and thought goes into it for it to all be kicked down.
Yeah, Thubathlayer, if you're just joining us or anybody else, we are writing the adventure that will go on Twitch, 3:30 Australian time Sunday, PAX Australia and the EB Live Theatre. We are going to be playing this adventure. And we've taken names from the chat.
Yeah, we're taking really
lot
good
of stuff,
ideas from
yeah.
the chat too. And we'll never admit it, obviously. We've been across that.
No credit will be given. That would be a liability.
We're
for
very
us.
clear about that
Right.
from the outset.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, don't expect any credit. You're not going to get it.
I think we've got the bones of it.
You guys know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think so. Do we want to take some questions about Avernus?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
When do we wrap this up?
It probably...
Is that time all right, or is that...
Let's check. I reckon probably we've got about half an hour or more.
Okay, great.
Yeah, something like
So,
that.
yeah, in the final half an hour, I mean, we'll keep talking about that. And if you have any ideas to sort of keep... Do you have enough characters to play?
Yeah, because I got 3 ghosts. Well, at least like one of them will have a voice.
Yeah, the 2 girls will. Gromp has a voice. The lawyer has a voice. I don't hate the idea of the lawyer being there with them, because if they don't understand anything and he's in on it, they can be like, you set us up. And it gives
Yeah.
another out to explain.
for sure. Also, like I'm aware that like we've got 2 adventuring parties. Like I'm kind of happy to do less this time round.
But maybe his plan is just to, when the lights go out and the ghosts appear, he locks himself in a safe room, which he always
Yeah,
does.
I like that actually. I like that a lot.
And that means that if they're really lost, we can point them in the direction of the safe room.
Yes.
Yes.
And that gives you the moment where he's like, I don't like to spend nights here. Like, the deal is that I'm here, but I have to be the witness for the bank.
Yes.
In fact, my job is to see who's the last person out the door.
Great. Perfect.
I think that's good. So the I think goes by bees. I think the lawyer is in it for money. I think there's a nice neatness in the genre that
Yeah, he's not even Eldritch.
he's being paid really well for what he does.
Yeah, and then if he gets dragged into it, he'll be just as upset as everyone else.
His safe room is covered in like anti-infernal sigils. Like, he's got a little room of sanctified ground.
Yeah.
That means that the house doesn't affect him, where there's a little bed in the servants' quarter that
Yeah.
he uses
Oh,
for
yeah.
these nights.
But he's got like a slot in the door. Go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, slam.
But yeah, I look. We can go back to it, and that's another thing that Dave and I always do is we'll have a chat about as broad as this,
Yeah.
and then in the next 2 or 3 days we'll message each other. There's probably the 3 of us now, and we'll be like, "Hey, what about this? What about that? I think I've solved this problem."
Yeah, you got to leave it a little bit.
Because that's the other thing, right? Like if you come up with something in one session that solves all the problems, I would be astonished by that.
Yeah.
You come up with a feel and a set of characters and a rough story, and just because you hit a kind of plot cul-de-sac, don't give up on it, because you'll work it out in a couple of days.
Yeah, walking away is often the best thing to fix a problem. Is
Totally.
to stop thinking about a problem and walk away from it.
Ah.
And I mean, we don't have often a couple of days to figure out what's going to happen next in our Avernus.
No, not at all.
Normally it's a day or 2 before, and it's a bit like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, so
how are we going to do this?
So tell me about Avernus, because I've actually, except for when I was kind of living in the States, but even then I was a bit more privy to stuff.
Yeah.
I was living in the States for the first half of Barovia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of a joy, just to listen to it week by week and not really know what was going on.
Right.
But this time round, yeah, I've turned up and played once, and that's it. So like, tell me how you guys tell me about the world, and tell me about how you approach this campaign.
Well, we kind of knew that Wizards would be releasing the Descent into Avernus book quite a while back. And when we were I think we've said this on recent streams, while we were in at D&D Live in the middle of the year, May or something, I thought about, because at the end of Dragon Friends Season 4,
Yeah.
Friezo had been separated from the Dragon Friends
Yeah, he'd been sort of by Mistra?
by Mistra and at Dweoma Heart to be healed or whatever. And
Yeah.
I thought, seeing about this whole hell thing, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Friezo was sent to hell?
Sure. I mean, a lot of people thought that probably.
Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect place for Friezo. And then he would the rough campaign would be about his escape from hell. What we didn't plan for
Sure.
was that we actually had to start the stream several weeks before, maybe months before, this book was available to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So we had to...
While you're doing this, I'm just coming out the spiel.
Yeah, no worry. So part of it was, okay, me and Dave figuring out, well, what is this story that is going to get Friezo from Dweoma Heart down to hell? Yes, Snailzo, as he is now known. Yeah, and this is one of those things where the overreach, or whatever we're going to call it, I want a better name for it, but of last season, where we established this broader universe of the 9 known worlds, we're like, oh, okay, well, we know Elysium exists.
Yeah.
What if Dweoma Heart is near Elysium?
And was that a chat that you and Dave had? Like,
Yeah, we had a big whiteboard session, and we had like a map of the universe, and we kind of drew a rough map of Elysium, which then someone made a map for us.
Oh, yeah.
Off that drawing.
Yeah.
That was a very rough drawing.
Jog Brogson made it for
Jog
us,
Brogson
the
did it.
cartographer.
So yeah, it was an interesting little campaign in Elysium, because we had to figure out a way. We had the rough thing of, oh, there's going to be a betrayal and there's corruption inside the church, and we have to get it done in a certain amount of time. But also, as you know, you plan a session, you get halfway through it, they don't finish what's supposed to happen.
yeah,
So
sure.
it's kind of a week by week.
So tell me about the
process.
world of this, because I kind of came and did like 2 hours with you guys, and it was super fun. It seemed like a super fun thing to play. Is the kind of a post-apocalyptic Mad Max element just you and Dave being you and Dave, or is that very much part of the?
No, that's a big part of this, and it's actually only half of it. So this is like a huge. It's more of a campaign setting than an adventure.
But that's what I was saying to you. That's what all of the new Dungeons and Dragons adventure books are. So Tomb of Annihilation is half how to make adventures in Chult, and
Sure.
Dragon Heist is half how to have adventures in Waterdeep, for example.
Yeah.
And this is Baldur's Gate and Avernus.
Yeah. So in this book, the first half is adventurers noodling around in this city called Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
And then they get sucked into hell. And
By another city, El Tyrell, which also has a bit of.
El Tyrell gets sucked into hell, and they have to try and get El Tyrell back to the real world and themselves back to the real world. We have not used the first half of the book, essentially.
Okay, so you've just gone straight to hell.
Yeah, we've
And
just gone straight to hell.
Even less than Tomb of Annihilation, we are not doing the story. The actual story of Descent into Avernus is about redeeming the Archangel Zariel through her Hollyphant steed, finding her lost sword at the Bleeding Citadel,
Sure.
which none of which is anything that we're really going to hit.
Sorry, Thupa, I know about the Wee Sun. I invented the Wee Sun. Thanks very much. So,
Tell me about a wee son.
Norm Chongus. Who is Norm Chongus? People talk about Norm Chongus
were
a lot.
you were there?
Yeah, but I don't remember all the things that happened.
Norm
No,
Cho-
Eden wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there.
For
Norm
what?
Chongus was my character. He was a retiree wizard.
A necromancer.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
we
right,
had
right,
this
right.
fun-
with a quick release
wand,
wand,
also-
one
Yeah.
holster on his sleeve.
We
So
had-
he goes like this, and then he drops his wand, and he's like, that would have looked really good if I'd caught it.
Oh no! It was based on, I don't know what it was based on, but it's like the idea of somebody retiring and having a fair bit of disposable income and being like, I'm going to get really into fishing.
Is it based on my dad?
Well, I think it was based on some people's dads. But like, yeah, like you know, there's people who've never fished in their life,
Yeah.
but then go out and buy
the
like the
best-
perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that with wizardry, so like,
And he was a necromancer, and he had some spells. I've still got a spell book for you, and if we ever bring Norm,
yeah. And like the last we saw of him, he was on he got onto the Saturnine.
I think we were very clear he didn't get onto the Saturn.
No, he did.
They had enough money for 2 tickets, so unless they're left kid.
Alfie asks, "Is Blood Strife a D&D thing or a Dave thing?"
Not only is it a Dave thing, that was completely unplanned. The Blood Strife was there was this episode of Elysium where Hing was being incredibly Hing. Like every time they went anywhere, Hing was like, "Oh, I just steal I take his purse." And, no, he doesn't want it. Well, and I threatened to kill him. And like everywhere, he was just mugging people.
Sure.
And being a real shit. And I was not prepared for it. And so eventually, I was just like, okay, the next person has to stand up and not back down.
Sure.
And Hing wasn't expecting it. And then it just arbitrarily, he was walking past someone and he was like, oh, and I speak to the guy's dogs and I just tell them in dog to rip out his eyes while he watches. And the guy was like, I heard what you said to my dog and I curse you in my father's name. I declare blood strife.
Yeah.
And then we just had to work out what that meant.
Yeah.
But I think like the big thing, and this is going back to like a very early question about how you deal with the dragon friends, is like everybody knows that there has to be consequences.
Yeah.
I think that's how you deal with it. It's like you can play this gag for however long you want, but you have to know that like there will be consequences doing it. That's not punishing you. That's just storytelling. Like if Friezo could do whatever he wanted and always kind of find a way to weasel out of it, it wouldn't be satisfying. Like you need to punish them, but it cuts both ways. Like I was thinking recently, in fact, when we were planning the most recent episode, you know, it wasn't Friezo, it was Banknote, but like he completely evaporated one of our big bads. That we had made huge plans for. And we were like, no, we have to wear that. It cuts both ways. Like we give him consequences, but we need to take the consequences of when he just does something like that. Because he's done it. And like, it's not satisfying if we go, well, actually he holds up a hand and a force field comes or whatever. Like,
Yeah, we joke about it, but me actually going, okay, well, Hing, you have a heart attack and you die, would actually also not work. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You've got to make it has to feel balanced. You can't feel like you're being
Chris Schubert in the house. Belquin, hello. Thank you for coming. Hope to see you at PAX on Sunday. He's a friend of Hing and mine
Oh.
from Riot, from League of Legends World.
sometimes.
sometimes it does feel like they don't recognize consequences. Yeah, I mean, it's always a balancing act. Like, so much of the Dragon Friend stuff is what serves story. Like, that's kind of where everybody comes from. But yeah, occasionally it becomes like competitive, and when it does actually come legitimately competitive, like I wanted to do this thing and I can't do this thing, then that's, you know, I've been really guilty of it before when I've been like really annoyed that I haven't been able to.
The phrase Hing apologist, along with mouth. What was it? Mouth appreciation?
Mouth appreciation? No, it was something nice.
Yeah, that's another. Hing apologist is a great thing.
Okay, so this is a really good point. Like, because Hing was a little bit shitty. I don't think.
Hing was upset about it. I know what you're talking about, and Hing
Yeah.
was also upset. And we had a really good conversation after the show.
Because like this isn't like, I don't think this is speaking out of school, but like Tepu, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is like is right. Like when Banknote was like his first kind of thing, he tried to knock someone unconscious and he killed them. Yeah, Hing was like legitimately kind of shitty after the show. Like I think he kept it together really well.
I
and
think
he
not
wasn't,
even shitty. I just think he was like, look, what is the point? Why aren't I just playing Friezo? You're treating the character like it's Friezo. I want to play someone else. And
Yeah.
like, why did Simon have to draw a new character? Why did we do this in that case? And it was a moment for me, and maybe for you as well. But I was like, no, you're right. I reached into my bag of Friezo gear a little bit.
But I do think, because I was listening back to that for some reason, I wanted to check something, and like you didn't completely punk him. Like,
I also think that history has shown me that the character is more similar to Friezo than I think back then.
Yeah.
Slightly
Yeah.
preachy. Hing
Like,
wanted
oh,
to.
yeah. I burned down the barn for experience. Like, yeah.
yeah, like I think it's like it's such a tension. Like playing stuff for laughs versus playing stuff for story. Like stuff making sense.
Also, some of the tension is that we've all done comedy together, but we all approach it from where we've come from.
Yeah.
And that is really interesting to me, which is that Ben has been on like collaborative panel shows for so long and writes and has an interest in science fiction and fantasy and sort of big tropes. Eden is like the most warmed up improviser of any of us because he improvises weekly,
Teaches
improv weekly, like is like in the mechanics of improv is on top of it more than anyone. I am probably, and also is a big D&D player as well. I'm a huge D&D dork, and I sort of come from it from a position of somebody who like designs games but also like was a theater director for a like theater director.
You're trained from the National Institute of Dramatic Arts.
So
and
definitely stuff I think about. Definitely stuff that I think about.
A master's degree.
But I think, shut up, both of you. But
I'm saying a nice thing.
But I think that the theater stuff that I learned in theater school definitely applies. And Hing is a stand-up comic who gets on stage by himself, has to deal with warm crowds, cold crowds, make every night as consistently land as well as it can, and has to can only rely on himself, can have bad warm-up acts, can have bad MCs in tiny bars. And Hing is also probably has the most reliable energy of any of us, which is there are shows when we're a bit exhausted or we've just made a set, made a film studio in a bar, and Hing will the camera starts and Hing will just like have his energy at exactly the level it always is at.
Yeah.
But I think that we've come to realize that what makes Dragon Friends work is that we all and we didn't do this on purpose, so we all sort of provide different things.
Yeah, for sure.
And Alex Lee, is like, there was a joke, and then it was going to be buys us all the cocaine, and then but Alex is just genuinely an incredibly funny left to center person, who has the job of when we don't know where a scene is going to go, she works out where to take it.
I think Simon's interesting too because Simon can be not only just reliable to kind of take the story where it is an interesting place, but Simon most often and most reliably will, where there's heart to be played, play hard.
Also, Simon wants to win the adventure, which nobody else does, and I need somebody to win it.
Need someone
Simon,
to want to win.
For me, Simon is so important because Simon's the guy who's like, hang on, 2 days ago, we met someone who talked about this cult, and they also went to this place. I think that the cult's based there. And I'm like, yes, someone is paying attention.
On Tuesday, he was like, oh, yep, we're going to this place. I'm like, really? Wow. Okay, cool. I'm into that.
That we're going to go see another musical.
Yeah, I was going to do some other dumb shit.
So take me through what it was, because back to Avernus. You guys had this new campaign with largely new characters. Hing was still playing Friezo. You were basically in the role that I'm in. You weren't playing Baston.
No.
You were in NPCs and you were writing it with Dave.
Yes.
How was that kind of gear shift from the Dragon Friends stage show?
It was a bit of a shift back to where I started, which was when you were away.
Yeah.
I was doing this same kind of thing, and I had to go back, and I didn't really know what I was doing then, and I've kind of forgotten a little bit what that was like. But I think as we've gone on and done it, however many 8 or 9 or 10 weeks now, it's been going on a while. Dave is actually playing a lot more NPCs than he used to,
which I'm enjoying a lot.
Yeah, which is great, which you're very, very good and very funny at. So I'm kind of now figuring out as we go along. It's an evolving thing to be like, oh well, if I'm gonna play an NPC, they better be very specific, and they better be kind of a different NPC.
Sure.
Than Dave's going to do, because also now that Friezo is away for a little bit, Bushu, who is Friezo's ex familiar, kind of is part of the party, and Bushu I brought back. I thought it would be interesting to bring back, just because he has a lot of good chemistry, I think, with Friezo, and to have and to be a character that I already know to be kind of a companion NPC to the party.
And also kind of grounds it. And someone just asked, and I mentioned to know this too, how much did you guys have influence over Simon and Al's characters?
So little. It's so funny because
Do you know where they started with them?
well, I now think that I do sort of, yeah. We talked about it a little bit, and I now think that there is no possible better character to explore Avernus than a tiefling paladin. Is just like so perfectly plays.
Yeah.
But that was always a character that she wanted to play. So actually, we had played the Stranger Things box set.
Oh, yeah.
And we did that for a
4 weeks.
press call where we played it with some media people, which wasn't streamed. It was just an example, like a chance for like Dipzuka from
Kotaku?
and Ray Johnson to sort of experience what it's like to play the content.
Which is so funny because Ray plays D&D like frequently.
Totally, both of them do. Both of them do. It was one of those just weird like marketing things.
Sure.
But we were paid, and so it was fun to do. And also, they're our friends, so we were just paid to hang out with our friends in a lovely Airbnb and play D&D. And the one of the starter characters is a paladin, and Alex had been so concerned about complex characters when we started D&D that she was like, what's the simplest character? And a lot of people said just barbarian because you rage and that's all you've got to do. Even fighters are more complicated. And so she played a barbarian, and then she played a paladin, and she was like, I've got spells, I can touch people and they get hit points back, I have these commandments. And she it was after that she was like, I think on the stream I'm going to play a paladin. Paladins are great.
Yeah, great.
And it just sort of all spiraled from there.
It is so funny to think back to that very first session we ever played, where we were all working out how we'd play.
Yeah.
Like,
and some people were very different. Hing's character was already... Hing came with Friezo, basically.
pretty much, yeah, because...
But he also thought he was going to do the character as Mr. Freeze.
Did he?
Yeah. No, he literally...
I listened to it.
The character was the same character, but he was like, but I'm going to... I've been thinking about this as a professional stand-up comedian, and every line I say will be done like, oh yes, it is good to be a warlock in the magical realm of Faerun.
Did that make it to episode 1?
No, he did that at the trial game.
No,
and I was
he
like,
was like,
I was-
nice to meet you. I think he was...
And I laughed, and then he was like, I am here on the quest. And I'm like, sorry, is that... You're actually going to do that? And he was like, yeah, that's the joke of the character, Dave. The way comedy works is... And I was like... And I said to him, I think he mentions in the podcast, I was like, that joke has diminishing returns.
Very much so, yes.
And he was like, oh, maybe I should just do it as me then. Yeah.
I think that's part of the beauty of Dragon Friends, and especially why Hing and Friezo are such a big character in it, is the amount of truth in it, I don't know, but what it appears to reveal about the player.
Sure.
The playing of the character.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, wow, you really... I think it's very revealing. You can't hide the truth of who you are when you play a character.
But like, speaking of like origins, like Baston was like a NPC, right?
Yeah.
Like
Baston is a character. His name isn't Baston, but his surname Indrirovich is an NPC from the 1986 module Castle Ravenloft.
Really?
Yeah, the Burgermeister of Barovia is someone Indrirovich, and I said, yeah, I want you to play like a town. He's sort of a bureaucrat. He's a bit of a bully. And he's like, what are you strangers doing here?
Yeah.
We have our own problems. And you were like, yeah, I want to do him like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, sure. And then the character just kept coming back. We didn't even know at that point that he was going to be connected to Irina, or that he would have any connection to that would see him through the adventure. There's a moment, if you listen back to that episode, where you indicate that Baston might go to the church with them.
Yeah.
And I am not totally into the idea.
Oh, really?
Because I'm like, no, it was a very funny character, and I need you
Let
to...
it go.
You're going to play...
not going to last for 4 more years.
the junior... We got to move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think we had him show up in a white charger the next episode because we liked it so much.
He did. They went to the church and he saved them when they were fighting the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. On Horsey 2 horse.
The 2-power horse. A 2-power horse is still such a funny idea.
What's a good...
2-horsepower horse.
Well, so let's just start taking questions because we've got a little bit of time left. Hey, Dave, what's your DM setup like? I'm DMing for a group of mates and looking for pointers. Looking forward to seeing you in November.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean,
What are you doing in November?
it's a really good question.
You're just going to see it in November. It's fine. It's a long month.
Jesus. I think he's coming to Dragon Friends Live.
Or to the
season finale.
The season finale.
Oh.
Yes, so I am. Well, we've just shared it. Shaq, if you could put the link in. These notes. We were writing notes for the last 2 hours for the PAX special. I tend to like to write my notes out, but that's more for the shows. I'm also running Tomb of Annihilation for some friends at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm running it for Shaq. I'm running for a friend of the podcast, Jordan Raskopoulos.
Because I think I think a big thing, because we get some people talking to us at live shows about exactly this and being like, oh, tips for DMing and all the rest of it. And there's some chat about it on Dragon Huddle too. And it's like, I think that there are some fundamentals that we've talked about here that carry across, but I really cannot emphasize enough that we play for a live audience, and it is such a different thing to playing.
Yeah. No, I'm loving playing a game because it's so different, and there's combat and there's time. One of the things that doesn't work in Dragon Friends, and we learnt this doing Tomb of Annihilation, is puzzles.
Yeah.
It's so stressful solving a puzzle if an audience is watching you, but it's quite lovely
Solving a puzzle, just chatting it out
in a game.
Yeah, you go to the kitchen, you get a new drink.
Think about it.
you
Yeah.
eat some Snacks. You talk
Yeah,
about
it's
it,
not
yeah.
great content.
No,
but,
not perfect. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
Good night.
using adventure settings and playing off them, of using movies that you've seen, as we talked about.
Yeah.
Finding set pieces, thinking cinematically, thinking about where the camera is when you describe stuff is stuff I think is really fun.
I think something that we've started doing a lot in this season, and when I say we, I mean you've been doing most of this work, is rather than just writing out what is happening at any given moment.
Yeah.
So being like, if they go here, this is what's happening. If they go here, this
Yes.
is what's happening. And you know,
So everything post Hoffman this season.
Yeah.
We've done this thing where we've been writing. I've started to write the adventures, but this works so well in bottle areas like Daggerford, where I'm like, this is what will happen if the Dragon Friends do nothing. Tonight, the cult will meet at the Illustrated Man, and they will sacrifice person X. The old minister that runs Broken Hill Sanatorium will be deposed and replaced by the new tough minister. And those, I just say, when those are going to happen in the city, and if they get there beforehand, they hear rumors it's about to happen. If they get there after, it's already happened, and that's much more fun. And does that make the world feel more real?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Certainly in this season, there was the Father Brackenwood was like, "You've got to come help me. You've got to come help me."
And you
then
didn't.
Then he got deposed, and there was bad people. That was like, "Oh wow, it's
we really did need to go help
we
that
really
guy.
did, yeah.
Shouldn't have gone to Vantage for 3 episodes.
we were on our way back." That was a very fun episode, though.
Yeah, that was very fun.
It was very fun.
Okay, just really quickly, sock check.
Oh, yeah.
Sock chat.
I'm wearing slightly odd socks. I don't know if you can see.
I've just got a plain black with a yellow toe.
Oh,
thanks,
shit!
Odd socks. Do you have odd socks, Dave?
In fairness,
always.
I dressed myself this morning in the dark, so
I always wear odd socks.
I-
There's my other sock.
You guys have known me for a while. I'm a fairly loose person. You know what
Sure.
I mean? I'll walk around with my pants off. I mean, underpants on still, but pants off.
I've
Yep.
described,
I've noticed that
I have
we
described your
when we-
sartorial style before as Florida sex pest.
yeah. When we
Right.
tour, I see a lot of Eden. I see a lot of Eden.
There's a lot. But I will never, ever wear unmatching socks. You will not find it would upset. I would wear no socks sooner than wear
And
unmatching.
I've seen you wear no socks, so I could see moments when that was not an
I
option.
had Moses in one hand,
Yeah.
and I was going through my sock drawer.
Oh, we've all got problems, all right?
and I found one, and they're the same brand, they're the same cut mainly. It's different colours. I didn't know I'd be doing sock check tonight.
I remembered one thing I really like. God, I hope he doesn't get cancelled. Because there's a YouTuber who is called Runehammer. And I know nothing about his personal politics. It's terrible you have to say this about any YouTuber.
I don't know him.
If he's a bad person, he's a bad person. But he does really good, solid tutorials, I think, on the fastest paced D&D, how to make D&D fast and cinematic. His YouTube channel is called Runehammer. He's like this really old stoner Californian guy with a beer in his hand and like this terrible basement. But I really like his stuff. And he does things like, one of the rules that he does, which I really took to heart, is every room has a timer, a treat, and a threat.
Ooh.
Which is a really good thing about DMing. And
Time, a treat, and a threat.
I don't always put that in the notes, but basically that means that every encounter, there's something that will happen if you don't move fast enough. There's something you can get out of it, and there's something that's an obstacle to what you want to get.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got lots of little acronym simple rules like that. So Runehammer on YouTube. And if it turns out he's a Nazi, I just tell me. So, because I would like to know, but
Yeah.
I don't at the moment know.
Dave loves to jump on a cancellation trend.
So fast. I will so fast. It's just, yeah, I'm so, in the year of our Lord 2019, anybody on YouTube, I'm automatically suspicious
But
of
that's
it.
also not because everybody's so sensitive. That's because a lot of YouTubers have turned out to be dreadful people.
Oh, that's what I'm
right?
saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's a terrifying world that we all live in.
Oh, speaking of YouTubers, I don't know if we've ever mentioned this before, but just talking about just different things with seasons and things that we liked. Johnny PlayStation,
Yeah.
who turned out to be sort of the linchpin of season 3.
Mm.
That was you and I talking to Tom and being like, "Who do you want to play this season?"
And him having just seen Logan
Yeah, him being like, "I want to play Logan Paul."
in the Suicide Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to play an influencer who's in over his head, and that was his whole idea.
Yeah,
And it was such a good idea.
yeah,
And and then we were like, okay, great, because we need them to be sent on a mission for a megacorp. Well, and I was thinking Sharon Apple, which is this whole, because Macross, which is a cyberpunk world, has a famous pop star in it, like an AI pop star, and that was the starting place, and that was so good. And each has the album of all the songs. I think we've got them all online already.
yeah. I think everything that Tom recorded
Yeah.
is somewhere.
Just somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
We've made it all free.
Tom and Demi on the same show? No.
No,
Oh,
never.
chaos.
Itchy
No.
energy, itchy
Don't
itchy
cross
energy.
the streams.
Absolutely not. Tom on a show. Yes, please. Demi on a show.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yum, 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 yum. Tom and Demi. Oh, fuck no.
We did it once,
Yeah.
didn't we? We did it once.
No, she came on for a little bit of Castle.
That's right,
Hing's
yeah.
Cavalcade of Terror.
That's right, because she was just in the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's just. How early was Tribe of a Million Hings? Immediate.
Um,
Some of our ideas are really good improv. Sometimes me and Ben just have fucking great ideas from day one.
No, I think that was around, that came, what was that?
The name Million, they were called the Million Kings, so it would sound like Michael Hing.
Oh, really?
but no. Sorry. To be clear, we didn't set out.
We changed it slightly, I think.
No,
it,
but
it came out of that gun axe. Someone was calling his axe.
No,
They were like, oh, so Michael Hing exists in this world?
yeah. So the second that somebody said that, we got
that's different.
we got off stage and we went. Both of us went. We both had something to say to each other.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
We were like, okay, Hing's the big bad. Great.
Yeah, no, that's true. So there was we never planned that Hing would be the big bad.
But from that episode, we knew that was going to happen.
to the extent that because we knew that was going to happen, when we went to Australia, we were like, oh, and there's these wasteland warriors that worship him,
Yeah.
and they're called the tribe. They used to be called the Tribe of Michael Hing, and they've lost their own name, and they don't know what it is anymore.
Now they've got
So-
Tribe of a Million Kings.
So
yeah.
in fact, in that episode, we had the skull drawing that comes
Yeah.
up at the very end.
Great.
We had that in the
In
projector,
my notes. Yeah,
like queued up in the slides, ready to go. If somebody made, not that difficult to check. It was like
Johnny Silverhand came out 2 months ago that your sister is wrong. Friendly blanket, my dude.
we'd love
I'd love
the BM to come back.
Bish Mazook was.
No, she can't. He said didn't say her first name. Don't know why. Or maybe they didn't know
I
how to
think he
pronounce
doesn't
it.
know. I don't think he doesn't know how to say her first name.
Oh right. Anyway,
Wait, was she in first season?
she was second season.
Oh, she was so good, but she doesn't do comedy anymore.
No, she's in the States.
Yeah.
What happened to Baston's girl? That was Zoe, was Baston's girlfriend?
Yeah, that was Zoe Lodge.
Irina Koliana.
I don't think
Patrina Koliana.
She's busy. I mean, she
Oh,
might.
the chat filters it.
Oh, because Bish.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you can't say Bish?
yeah,
It's some people say it as another word.
Oh, yeah, right.
yeah. That's
Bitch,
funny because it's
bitch,
like
the other
'cause
word
it's
is
like the
bitch.
nice.
I could say it.
It's like the nice word for anyway. Yeah, no, we'd love to have Bish back. I mean, like there hasn't really been a guest that we haven't like really enjoyed.
No, you get them all back.
we edited out a lot of Cloderick the cleric.
Yeah, I mean, that was true. He did because he was doing a lot of pedo gear, and
A different
it was
time.
a lot more uncomfortable in the room than it would have been listening to the podcast.
Yeah, you're just safe in your own space.
He was just like, I think that to Andrew's credit, Andrew was like someone who was very anti George Pell before it was cool to be anti
Yes,
George Pell,
and
and he was
he's-
doing an extended George Pell joke.
Yeah, and he was largely vindicated on that front, I feel.
Yeah, he
but at
was.
the same time, it didn't quite land. We had to kill him.
Yeah.
So, Baston's girlfriend is Zoe Norton Lodge, and she had a lot of fun doing it, but she still doesn't understand the show. And every time I say, "Do you want to do it?" she goes, "What was it again? What do you do?"
My favorite thing to do with people like Susie and Zoe, who are actually a bit too cool to be on the show, but you get them on the show once, is then to show them fan art that people have done of their
Yeah.
characters, and they're like, "What the is that?" Like,
Yeah.
it really kind of blows their mind.
And it's so funny because you'd think that's how we'd get someone like Jess on, like Montaigne on. But
Oh, no.
The truth of it is just Jess is a huge nerd.
No,
Just
totally.
loves to do it.
Ditto Scott Ludlam. Like, they're just people that was never a doubt
Yeah.
we would be able to get them.
Could you get Mark Sutton?
Oh, Mark
on?
Sutton. He's
I
not
mean, sure. Like, it'd be great.
Easy. No worries.
Mark Sutton, we can do that. We absolutely have that power.
But I'm working on a show, like I'm working on an ABC show with Mark at the moment. I see him every day, and it would be a joy to have Mark back on. I mean, not back on, but
Who was the one in season 2 who returned as Frieza's nephew?
Oh,
Carlo
that was,
Ritchie,
Carlo
aka Every Hofferman.
Oh,
so
he's
I don't know
back
if
yet.
that was clear. If the he's very good at voices, so you might not have noticed Sam Unleashed. But he was in the most recent season. He played Jovian Hofferman, Roman Hofferman, Diametra Flirtian, Nay Hofferman, and Marguerite Hofferman.
yeah, which I had to
In
do
one
after
episode.
him. I forgot all his voices. for that.
Mark Bonanno has also been on.
He was
played
a pack show with us.
He did. He played a spaghetti boy made out of penises,
Yep. We did have Mark Bonanno on, and
and never again.
He was. So we've not had Zach on.
Yeah.
We've had Broden Kelly. And
Yeah,
Mark
Broden
Bonanno.
Kelly, who played a sort of PE teacher.
It was so good. And yeah, Eden is the only dragon friend that we haven't
I'll
had
do
since
it.
Free to a Good Home. So
I'll
we
do
should.
it. I know.
It's bizarre, actually. We haven't caught that Pokemon.
I'll do it. Catch me. Catch me.
What is the chance that we could get another episode of Free to a Good Home, Ben?
Oh, yeah. Well, Hing's fucking touring.
I mean,
at the moment.
not just to be not to be entirely self-serving, but I've got a rather long flight tomorrow.
Yes. Look, second Hing comes back from him recording his latest show.
Yes, he's a
we'll do
TV
it.
boy.
If there's anyone else you think that would,
I will, Alfie Lee.
if you ever think that there's anyone that would be good to resume the Trial of Champions adventure,
That
was the first one Scott was in with Cacciatore.
Where did we finish that?
We didn't really finish it. That was such a good episode. That was the episode. That was my favorite.
That was the
show.
first time. That was like Bobsing the Dugnut too, because we had the
the Paddish Exile.
The Paddish Exile was Bobson basically, and that's where we went. I went. Oh, I want to bring that character back.
I'm such a dork as well, but that concept which we came up, we wrote that adventure and like 2 hours before we went on stage, and the concept of the Padishah and the Paddish Exile, like these dueling royal families, one lives in exile in the Oasis and one rules the city, and then they swap. I remember thinking, I was like, that's such a good fantasy concept for a one shot. Like, I always really liked it. That's a world we should go to one season.
Becky Lucas would never in a billion
Becky
years
Lucas,
do this show.
if Becky Lucas
cool.
finds out that we do this, she's going to dack us. Yeah, but yes, you're right. Bobson, you were specifically saying you wanted to do the Paddish Exile again.
Well, yeah, because I enjoyed that character so much, that kind of energy of him.
Where Bob?
I don't remember a lot of my own lines, and that's probably good because it's a bit gross too. But
Paddish Exile had one of my favorite lines ever, which was, "Oh, who's horny for a tawny?"
I like that, but I also just like the energy of like, and whoever wins gets my daughter's hand in marriage. If she likes.
if she no, she's not into
She's
it.
not into it, that's fine.
How about some rubies?
And it was funny because like it's a bit like you saying with that like Paddish Exile, the family thing. It's like, oh, this is just a one shot.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, we put all this effort in.
Goes by B is a good layout. There's one rule, and it's B. Such a good character.
Where is that? Can we watch that?
Yeah, that's PAX. Yeah, that's the second PAX show.
No, but where is it on?
It's on YouTube. It's on our website.
Great.
Would we ever consider streaming games? I don't know. I hope you.
Yeah, Dave.
We're putting a
gonna
lot
play
of
Magic.
effort. We're putting a lot of effort into the stream. The stream, I think, like now with the lights, when we remember to turn them on,
Yeah.
it's looking better and sounding better than it's ever sound. But right after
Dave's standing up. Where's he going?
when Avernus ends,
what's he doing? What are you doing?
What's he doing, Dave? Dave, what are you doing?
Vamp for
so,
me. Vamp for me.
After next week at this same time on this channel or back on our channel, Dave?
This channel.
On this channel, we'll be continuing the adventures of the Beef Babes in Avernus. And we'll be doing maybe a couple more streams.
There's
on the
three.
D&D
I think there's
channel.
there's 3 more streams or something like that.
Yeah, and after that, we'll be switching back to our regular Dragon Friends channel. And when we are back on our Dragon Friends channel,
we're going to take a short break from playing D&D because Wizards of the Coast have given us heaps
Magic cards.
Oh, really?
of Throne of Eldraine, and not just like they've given us decks and they've given us pre-release boosters,
I have a long and storied
and they gave us a box of booster packs, and we're going to open them. Me and Eden, I think.
We're gonna do an unboxing.
That
I-
rules.
I think it'll just be us and anyone else who wants, which I don't think will be anyone else.
Maybe Tom. Tom likes magic cards.
Oh yeah, we might bring Tom Walker. Michael Hing likes them, but he'll be away.
He'll be away.
and he doesn't play nice.
When I was 12 in year 7, a guy called Marco stole my blue deck. There's a lot of good stuff.
Was it a
in there,
control
a lot of
deck?
Yeah, it was.
Counter
well,
spells,
Yeah, a lot of
power sinks,
a lot of counter spells and
Dispel
flyers,
magic,
flyers.
flyers,
A lot of flyers. and
Phantasmal
counterspells.
Force.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I didn't know. Not a lot of merfolk or anything. Anyway, he stole them, and I knew he stole them, and then we got in a fight. It was my first fight.
But as for other things we're going to stream, we were thinking actually of doing a Freedom Good Home in this setup. I don't know what the visual aspect will add to it, but I guess you get to see me eat a lot of snacks.
I mean, if you are planning to choke to death on 6 Skittles during a recording,
That would have
it's
been
probably
great
best if you can
content.
see it as well, if
That-
only for like the coroner's report.
That's true. Somebody asked earlier if there's like other Drago content. Yeah, like Hing and Alex do stuff with the feed every week, and you can find their stuff on the feed's Facebook group. Simon has a bunch of great
my cartoon boyfriend.
my cartoon boyfriend
Instagram
accounts where he puts up his drawing. I have a newsletter which is the Idiot Report.
I get drunk and post things on
that's it.
Twitter. I shouldn't.
Sure, that's a thing that Dave does as well. Eden.
I'll go walking around. I'll post photos of flowers mainly. Is my Instagram.
It's quite nice.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes we'll get drunk and play Teamfight Tactics together.
Yay, Teamfight Tactics. Look, me and Dave might go full-time streamer. Yes, it is a possibility.
And Shaq, can you show the overhead camera? We've got this because the room is set up now at the moment, which means that also we want to do more board game streams, which is why we've set ourselves up with this camera, but we also have this camera.
What is our Hero Quest stream on our Twitch channel?
Yeah, but this is our setup is better.
It's better
than
now.
it was then. So
Do a zoom on the dragon, Shaq. Zoom on the dragon.
and so yeah, we.
Dun, 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 dun,
I'm a dragon.
Look at that detail.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So yeah, we and do you know what? Snack report. If you wanted to have a snack report right now, where's the dragon? This is right here. We were eating Skittles.
Oh, that's amazing!
Wow.
Imagine that. I'm gonna get.
Look, I think the question is answered. It would bring a whole new dimension to
I think
snack
it would.
report.
Thank you to the person who just said they read the Idiot Report on the train today and enjoyed it. Thank you. You can read it on any kind of transport,
Can you?
Anytime.
not on a kayak.
Plane during takeoff.
Don't do it while you're driving the car. If you're the only person in the car and the car
I
is
think there are some
don't
transports you're not
read.
allowed to do it on.
You're gonna play
Motorbike, if
40k. Dave, you got 40k. I'll play it.
Do I play 40k? I mean, so the 40k player in the Dragon community is Jordan, who has like 5 40k armies. Jordan
And she's like an amazing painter of them too,
no,
right?
Jordan
painted this dragon.
Jordan painted my 40k army, and like
Did she paint this dragon?
she painted that dragon. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, she's
She did it on
Great paint.
her own stream. You should follow her, Jordan, who's just recently Twitch affiliate,
Jordan Rasco.
Jordan Rasko. And
What's the grass? Where'd you get the grass from?
It's
Static Flock.
static flock. It's fake grass,
Yeah.
like they use for trains,
Huh? Trains?
Yes.
like model trains.
Oh, right.
Did you break it?
Last few questions.
Yeah, last
Gonna
few
wrap
questions.
up.
This has been really good, and I was gonna say the numbers have been really good, which you don't care about, but it's great for us.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, it's been great.
If anybody has any...
Final questions. We'll answer anything.
Oh, Saz Rainbow asked this 4 times, and if they were still here, which is me and Ben have never done before, but let's work this out. We've said the 9 known worlds, we know what they are, and we've said that every circle of hell is a reflection of one
Yes.
of the 9 known worlds, and the 9th circle is a twisted reflection of itself back on itself.
Yes.
So, I'm going to give you a list of the 9 known worlds.
Yeah. This cannot be canon, but
No, but you might come up with some good ideas.
Okay.
So, you just tell me.
because we know that. Well, hang on. Don't we already have this? Like
Yes, jellyfish juice. That's the right Jordan.
that is the correct Jordan.
Jordan.
While you're looking for that, Mo update. He's great. He's real good. He has an enormous mouth. Actually, Shaq, can you zoom in on something?
What can he fit in there so far?
This is him and his mum. This is him and Anya this morning.
I haven't seen. How old's Mo now?
Mo is almost 9 months.
Oh,
And will you just look at the size of that gob? Okay, I'll stay still.
he's nearly as big as Anya. Oh my god, they got the same size head. That's crazy.
They do have the same size heads.
Yeah, he's enormous and he's such a little poser. So he's doing real well. Thank you for asking.
That's great.
He's a real happy little bean.
How come Anya never comes to Dragon Friends?
She despises it. She is not into it at all.
I knew that answer.
Actually-
I just wanted to hear you say
Actually,
that.
I wouldn't say she despises it. She doesn't. She just has absolutely zero interest in it whatsoever.
She's busy being a
And she's
lawyer.
like an incredibly supportive person.
Yeah.
We used to live like a block from the theatre, and she never. We didn't have a kid. She never once came.
Not for me. This is my private. This is me time. You do.
Yeah. She's like, honey, I love that you do this, and I love that people seem to like it, and I love that you actually seem to be very good at it, but I have zero interest in consuming this media.
Yeah. I mean, I respect that. There's media I have zero interest in consuming as well.
I
get it.
Including, for instance, court cases.
Yeah, the Royal Commission into banking misconduct, which is the last thing she worked on.
Well, no thanks.
No, thank you.
I had a friend who, because I love Dungeons and Dragons. I think it's great. I think it's a great game. It's not for everyone, which I think.
Shuey, I'm not going to fit the rest of the Skittles in my mouth. I'm a grown up, all right? You're thinking of some 19-year-old's Fortnite stream. No, I just want to impress them so much.
No, don't do it, Dave. I almost died.
You'll die. I walks past watching a friend of mine who's like a big time gamer. He like writes.
Yeah.
He writes on video games. He plays a lot of games. He's on Twitch. He watches video games, and he's like, "Yeah, I played D&D once. It wasn't for me." And I was like, "Why? What do you like about it?" He's like, "Any game where you have to say, where everyone goes, all right, everybody stop. It's time for maths." It's not a thing for me, and it's like, okay, that's fair enough. It is also very simple math. It's basic addition.
Can we talk about how much I have tried to get Hum to do Dragon Friends?
Yeah, Hing is really against.
Oh, Hum also, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's really.
So that's really Hing being against things has not stopped a lot of things happening on Dragon Friends.
That's true.
But I keep thinking that Hum, Hing's girlfriend, Hing's real life girlfriend, would be the most amazing energy in controlling Hing ever if we could get her to do
You
it.
would really not like it.
She refuses, and it's just I would.
It could potentially ruin their relationship forever.
It would be so funny.
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Because Hum is also, I think, one of you talk about someone who should follow her on Instagram. Toilet drawings, toilet feelings.
Toilet feeling.
Feelings and Lonely Dandruff on Twitter.
Yeah, and her Patreon, support her Patreon because she draws comics every month, and they're so good.
Goes by bees. I think the one time Hum was in the chat, her early comment was, "How and why do you keep track of this?"
Says Rainbow is still here. So quickly, there's two. The Avernus is obviously a reflection of I always assumed it was like the bluffs of chance, right? So the high adventure waves is the dusty
and then
desert.
wherever Morgana and stuff are from.
Feywild to the Shadowfell, which we've already said,
Shadowfell.
and also the Stygia, which you haven't seen, but the Sahuagin you guys
It's the
found
ocean world.
is the ocean world, and Stygia is the reflection of the Deadlands, which is the world of ice that the Titans came from.
Sure.
So those are the only 3 circles that we've done. So I need you to very quickly.
And Carcosa is a reflection of something good.
No. This is the thing. No, Carcosa is a world. So what is the infernal reflection of Carcosa?
Is it nice?
Even worse.
I think it's even worse. I think that there's a few things we put in our back pockets of truly terrifying things.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I don't know. We don't need to do all of them, but we need a reflection of Primus.
Deadly.
Okay, so Primus is City of Brass.
It's Primus was the bureaucratic city with the GIF led by Officiac Herkin.
So reflection of that is the milk dimension.
It's pronounced GIF. Okay.
Oh, the milk dimension.
It's all right. That was quick.
Yep. So Primus, the other side of that coin, milk dimension.
All right. Okay. Cool. The House Eternal. One person, the archivist, living a lonely life of solitude amongst his books.
Uh-huh.
Is that a whole world?
Yeah. You played season 4.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
it was a
small
lot.
world.
There was a
Oh
lot.
no, you were in America when they went to the House
No,
of
I was in the House of Terror.
Well, a
Oh, what was that?
small room with only books.
Mhm.
This is a large world with only films.
Okay, I hate this already. I feel like I've been tricked.
So it's Universal.
Dim
movie world.
Carcosa, Bright Carcosa. All right, we'll just move
Okay,
on.
yeah, all
The
right.
City of Brass.
The city of arse.
Right. The Blessed Fields of Elysium.
The breasts and shields of
of District 9, also made
Jared-
by the same.
offended.
Jerry 98 is right. Jerry 98 is right. Ben's an idiot. The Milk Dimension was canonically discovered in one of the Christmas specials to be a Dragonfen specific name for the Border Ethereal.
Oh.
Yes.
Wait, so every time Bushu casts Blink, he's in the Milk Dimension?
Yeah. The Milk Dimension is the Border Ethereal in Dragonfen's world.
I love the Milk Dimension.
City of Arse canon. I think that might be the only thing that becomes canon.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say what that is. Oh my goodness, this has been really fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
and
We've actually streamed. We are now over time, so
yeah, we should go. But I just want to say that is basically like a little stupider, but that is basically how we prepare for a one shot.
was that fun? Would people
Say
like
that's an
would-
average level of stupid.
Would people like to see or hear more? I'm going to just flip this. If you would like to see or hear more of our prep sessions, tell us in the huddle or tweet at us so that
Yeah.
we have some information to go off other than this chat, because that would be really useful for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Tom's in the chat.
Oh yeah, and then give us some toms in the chat.
Tom's in the chat.
Tom's in the chat. Dave's in the chat. Fucking Tom.
Yeah, unreal. We might do like
Uptime.
we.
I feel like
Thank you, Danger Beard.
Thanks for coming hard.
wouldn't it be weird
Thanks,
though?
Super Slayer.
It would be weird though if we did at the podcast, because it would be we would be spoiling the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think we could do it because you and I need to talk about where we want it to go. But we could do like a check-in mid-season.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
2 a season, like one.
Yeah, a mid-season check-in would be good to be like, okay, because recently you guys have been like, all right, well, we've got X episodes left. How are we going to wrap this up? What needs to happen this
exactly.
season?
All right, thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much.
joining us.
We'll see you. If you're at PAX, come say hi. Come see our show.
Yeah, come say hi at PAX.
Come to our show on Saturday if you're in PAX.
Oh yeah, we've only
Melbourne.
got like 20 tickets left to that.
It's crazy.
Really?
Really selling out. Yeah.
We took a 150 seat room, and yeah, we've sold like 130 tickets now. I
Yeah,
think.
it's crazy.
Wow.
So definitely come and book your tickets if you're coming to see us and play Werewolf with us at PAX, or watch us play Werewolf and Drink, which is what, let's be honest, it will be like.
Absolutely.
See you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.